Okay, I do believe we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next installment of Cobwebs live show here on the Cobwebs channel that pops in every now and then. And just want to say thank you so much for dropping in for all of those who are here. Looks like we've got 9 people right now. Go ahead and hop into the chat if you are here. Say hi so I can say hi to you and let's join in on the conversation. So why did I want to do this live stream? Well, a few reasons, one of which was just to hang out with you guys because the channel's been growing quite a bit lately, which is one of the reasons why we're here right now is to celebrate. But that means that I can no longer really keep up with the comment section, which I feel bad about, to be honest with you. I used to try to respond to every comment or as many comments as I could, and it's gotten like pretty crazy. It's gotten overwhelming lately, so it's a lot harder to like interact more because there's just so much constantly coming in, which I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for every comment. I read every comment, but really needed to do this. Need to hop on a live stream, actually connect with you guys, chat a little bit. So we're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Ask me questions. If you asked me a question in a comment and I hadn't gotten back to you, now is the time. I am here. I am ready to answer whatever it may be. And then we're also here, of course, to celebrate 20,000 subscribers. What's funny is we hit 20,000 subscribers, I believe, 6 days ago. And I set up this live stream like, hey, we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate on Wednesday. Right now it's Wednesday. And today we hit 21,000 subscribers. This happened last time, too, when I did the 10,000 subscriber celebration. Went to 11,000 right before I went live. So it happened. We're at 21,000 technically. So also thankful for those 1,000 people that joined after I set this up. Thankful to you guys as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over into the chat real quick. Oh, also we got a Blu-ray haul. As we pretty much always do on any live stream, I like to show off what I'm picking up, including my Vinegar Syndrome halfway to Black Friday. Yes, halfway to Black Friday sale haul. So we're going to go over that. We've got Jay Irwing. I'm a 50-year-old man. Happy birthday. It's probably not your birthday. And I appreciate your love for the classic horror movies that I grew up watching with my late daddy and grandmother. That's awesome. Thank you so much. You know, one of my favorite kind of comment that I get is when anyone says that like any of my videos have made them feel nostalgic, made them remember movies from their childhood. I love when people tell me that like they had a memory of this movie and they could never remember what it was. And then I talk about it in the video and they're like, that's that movie. And now they know what it is. That is my favorite kind of comment. So I just love to hear that. We got Frank's Media and Reviews. Won't be able to watch live. Want to congratulate you on the big 20K. Thank you so much, Frank. I was actually just watching you while I was doing dishes after dinner tonight. I had you on. I had my headphones in listening to Frank. Frank's got a great channel. You might see me pop up on his channel before too long. I'm just saying. By the way, I got myself an orange soda. I love glass bottle vintage sodas. I think I've said that on a live stream before. It's just one of my favorite things. Cream soda is actually my favorite. But orange is what we have in the fridge. We got 26 people in here. Hop on in the chat if you were here. I'll keep going through saying hi to everybody. Hi, Thomas. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Glad to see you're a big horror fan. Absolutely. We got Ben in the house. Greetings, Ben. I think you've always been here for my live streams, and I always appreciate it, man. Always good to see you. Always good to read your comments, by the way. Hi, I haven't been able to catch a live for a while. I'm looking forward to it. There hasn't been a one in a while, so you might have been at the last one, actually. It's been a little bit. We got CJ. Hello. Thank you for dropping in. We got Jaden Christopher. Thank you so much, Jaden. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You're some minor Jim. Maybe I'll call you Jim. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for dropping in. We got Christopher. Hello. We got Susan McDonald. Once again, Susan McDonald. Thank you so much. I love this shirt. I just randomly saw it on the internet and I was like, that is a shirt I absolutely have to have. Love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Lurch. Howdy, howdy. So glad you found your channel a couple of months ago. Awesome. Welcome. Yeah, I think a lot of people found the channel in the last couple of months. So happy to see you're one of them. Happy you dropped into the live stream. Thank you so much. 21K and counting. That, yes, sir. That's absolutely right. 21K. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. You're going to celebrate 20K by blowing a ton of money on the Criterion sale this weekend. No, I'm actually really looking forward to the Vinegar Syndrome subscriber week sale that's going to be happening next week. Even though I just got a Vinegar Syndrome sale haul, I'm just really into Vinegar Syndrome right now. I'm really digging it. I might get a few things in the Criterion sale. I will get Risky Business on 4K. I'm really excited about that. I haven't seen Risky Business in a long time. I don't own it, and getting to see it in a Criterion 4K, that seems really, really cool. So I will definitely get that at least. Not sure what else. Yes, we got a live thing. Found your channel recently. I'm not a big joiner subscriber, but I had to. 70s Kids, so Amicus Love. I read your comment. You commented something very much like that on one of my videos recently, and I read that. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for breaking your no subscribing rule for Cobwebs. We got Thomas, horror fan, but also videos about film noir, airflow, and musicals. Are you interested in such things anymore? I'm definitely interested in such things. I don't know. I'm really enjoying making videos about horror movies. Like, horror is not the only thing I watch, although it's most of what I watch these days. I'm just on a really big horror kick. But I just like making spooky videos about spooky things. Like, I just have so much fun with it. And I have been extra into horror lately. I've noticed it ever since my son was born about a year and a half ago. I can't explain it, but since I had a kid, I think it's because I'm very nostalgic about monster movies and Halloween and stuff, and it's just made me very nostalgic for those things. So yeah, and people seem to like the horror videos. So I do have a partially non-horror video coming in probably next week. So look forward to that. Congrats, cheers to you, Daniel. Thank you so much, Mary. Halloween in June. Yeah, I get in the Halloween spirit really, really early. And today it was like a little bit rainy and stormy and gloomier. It was still hot, but not near as hot as it's been. It's been like in the 90s recently. Today was more like 75 up to 80. And I started feeling a little bit of Halloween vibes. I know it's ridiculous, but that's just the way I am. Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate it. For the people who don't have a region-free Blu-ray player, can you tell me the region of the Blu-rays you review? Like in each video, just sort of say what region this is. That's a good idea. I could do that. Almost everything I get is region A because I'm here in the US. But yeah, some things are region free. Occasionally I'll have a region B release because I do have a region free player, but I don't import very much because these days it's just not very necessary most of the time. I got a region free player back when there was a lot of stuff I wanted to import, but now so much is coming out. It feels like there's just less reason to not buy a US release because there's like always a US release now. But 4Ks are always region free. So that's a note. Anytime I'm talking about a 4K, it's region free. You're welcome for the content, Christine. Love all the reviews on classic content like Hammer and Amicus and your favorites for different seasons. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Something about drinking soda from a bottle. Yes, glass bottle. I'm telling you. They used to make Snapple in glass bottles, and I loved it. And now Snapple is in plastic bottles, and I just don't like it anymore. It doesn't hit the same. It doesn't taste the same when it's not coming out of glass. What about a second channel for this content? I don't have time to keep up with a second channel. I mean, it's all I can do to keep up with one channel. I was reminded of a movie not long ago, but I've sadly forgotten it again. I'll go through comment notifications in a while when I figured it out. Oh, okay, cool. One of my favorites for dishwashing. Good. Yeah, I love YouTube for dishwashing. Absolutely. So I'm happy to provide that. Love the channel. Thanks for the Hammer film info. I've been looking for a movie I saw as a kid. It was Gates of Hell. Thanks again. Oh, okay, cool. Like the Lucio Fulci Gates of Hell. Love that movie. Jim is fine. All right, cool. All right. Thank you, Jim. Just watched a complete collection video from several months ago. Gave me so many recommendations. Right on. I talked about over 1,200 movies in that video. I'm really glad people enjoyed that video because I like videos like that, but like it still felt crazy to make it. It felt like, who would watch this? But the thing is, like, if it was someone else making that video, I would watch it. So I'm really glad people watched it. So that's cool. Thank you so much, Ben. Love your channel. Brings back great memories of me and my late mother and brother watching Creature Double Features. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Daria. And thank you so much for coming in the live stream. I love horror and horror YouTube channels. You've really hit a niche that needs more attention. Classic horror. And I've added so many movies to my list. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's how I got into talking about movies on the internet, was because I just felt like people weren't talking enough about Hammer movies. So that was the first thing I did, was a podcast talking a lot about Hammer, and, you know, branched out from there. And I like talking about other stuff too. Like you guys know, I dip into the 80s because I love the 80s. I've actually got a review coming out tomorrow for a new horror movie, but one that's It is new, but it's like very, very vintage themed. So I thought it was really cool. I think it's a cool movie. I'm excited to tell you about tomorrow. But yeah, like doing other things too. But I always love to come back to that classic stuff. I got this shirt from Spencer's website. So I've never seen it like in a Spencer's store location, but I got it off of their website. It was the same order where I also got my Scars of Dracula t-shirt, which you probably see me wear in videos. I got them both there. Odd question. Are you superstitious? Not really. Like, I don't believe in, like, if you spill the salt, it's bad luck. I certainly don't believe that black cats are bad luck. I have a black cat, love him so much. So I wouldn't say so. I kind of want to believe in like ghosts and witches and because it's like fun. I think it's fun, but I used to like very hard like, no, I don't believe in any of that stuff, but I feel a little more open to it now, but I still can't really say I believe in it. Thank you so much, CJ. I appreciate it. Yo, we got Tom Freechick. I'm assuming that's how I pronounce it. Always love seeing your comments, dude. Thank you so much for dropping in. 21,000 out of 10 free checks. One day, I always wonder, like, will one of my videos one day get a 9 out of 10 free checks? Or possibly lower? I don't know. So far, it's always 10 out of 10. We got a Severance sale coming up soon as well. That's what I'm looking forward to, finally in Opera on 4K. Yeah, I want Opera. I'm really scared of what the price is going to be. Severin, you know, it's funny. With Vinegar Syndrome, I don't know why, but I've just kind of decided I care about them. So I really care about Vinegar Syndrome. I want the best edition. I want the nice slipcover. So I'll buy things sooner. But for Severin, like, I don't care about the editions. Like, it's just a label that I care less about. So, like, I often wait for standard editions for stuff. Like, I got the standard edition for Cemetery Man. I got the standard edition for Spider Labyrinth coming in the mail. I've also got Danza Macabre Volume 3 coming in the mail soon. Review for that's going to be coming. So for you Severed lovers, look out. So I don't know, but I don't know if they'll do a standard edition for Opera because they never did for Four Flies on Grey Velvet, and I'm bummed I missed that. But also that was so crazy expensive. Anyway, I do want Opera on 4K. I'm just scared of the price. I used to watch Monster Movie Matinee after school with my younger sister and older brother with Dad's oatmeal cookies and milk. That's awesome. I had to mute myself to burp for a second. It's the soda, but that is wonderful. Thank you, Susan. Yes, cheers. Cheers, Uncle Lou. Hey, we got Chase from AVA Pop Culture. You know what? Recently, AVA Pop Culture has become like one of my favorite channels. It is so good. Like, I highly recommend Chase's channel. It's a physical media channel primarily, but he'll also talk about movies even if he doesn't have it on physical media. Just like a lot of interesting lists, you know, like I like doing lists too, and just seems like a cool guy. Highly recommend his channel. Thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate it. Oh, Blast from the Past. Love that movie. Yeah, I heard you talk about it in a channel, in a video recently. Thomas, I would like to know your favorite classic horror actor of all time. Is it Karloff, Lee Lugosi, Cushing, Lon Chaney, or someone else? I go with Christopher Lee, no question. For me, it's Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing is in my top 3 actors of all time. But I love Vincent Price too. I mean, I love all those guys, but something about Cushing, he makes me the happiest. He makes every movie better. Your take on The Trouble with Harry, which might be my favorite Hitchcock film, was so welcome. Nobody seems to have covered it before, and thank you. Yeah, I love that movie. When I first watched that movie, I was like, where has this movie been all my life? I wish I'd been watching it my entire life. It's so fun, but it's just got like the best cozy autumnal vibes. So it's such a good movie to get you in the fall spirit. And it's like not a horror movie, but it's got a little bit of the macabre to like ease you a little bit into the Halloween season, which is fun. We got Mark in the house. I like your best of videos. I always get recommendations from channels like yours when I see those. I'm watching Night of the Werewolf now based on your vid. Cool. The Paul Naschy Night of the Werewolf, I assume. Love that movie. Anytime I post a video about Paul Naschy, I always get comments like, oh, I love him so much. Thank you for covering him. And then I get comments like, he's the worst. His movies are awful. So like, he's an acquired taste. People love him or people hate him. I love him. But thank you for enjoying my best of videos. I really enjoy doing those. So do I, Uncle Lou. So do I. What would you say your favorite release of the year so far has been? Ooh. Have I thought about that yet? That's an excellent question. Of the year so far, kind of blanking on like what's come out so far this year. Kind of taking a peek. Oh, you know what? I know exactly what it is. It's Vinegar Syndrome's Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. I did a whole video on this, so a lot of you guys have probably seen it, and you probably know about the movie, but it's the first Amicus anthology film. I really like the movie. It's not like one of the greatest movies. It's not one of the top Amicus anthologies, as you know if you've seen my ranking. But the 4K edition is so phenomenal. And like, I just never seen a movie like this in 4K, because no Hammer films are on 4K. I don't know how many people realize that. There is not a single Hammer film that's on 4K. No Amicus films were on 4K until this. This is the first. So it was the first time I saw a movie like this in 4K, and it looked astoundingly good. And I'd seen the movie before, and I thought it was like kind of meh. And then I watched it on this, and I was like, oh, like I kind of see the movie for what it is. And I just loved it. It's got good special features on here too. And gosh, it's so good. So yeah, I would say that's my favorite. And I also really liked Vinegar Syndrome's The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock too. Absolutely. No, they're not. It's terrible. And like for a while, even after they discontinued glass bottles and they were selling plastic bottles, my local Walmart still got like 6-packs of glass bottle Snapple, and I would still go buy them. Anytime I saw them, I would buy them. But that only lasted so long, and now you just can't get them anymore. And it does not taste as good. Like it truly doesn't. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but it's the truth. Just got a 4K. Love to see your top recommendation for classic movies in 4K. That would be a good video to do. I'm a little scared about talking about, well, not scared. I don't know. Like I worry about doing a video that's too 4K specific because I'm not a techie guy and I don't have an OLED TV. I have a 4K TV, but a lot of people are very fussy about that. And they're like, if you don't have an OLED, you can't really tell on 4K or whatever. But I don't know. That's just the thing. Nobody's commented like at me about that. I just hear it around. So, but yeah, I mean, I could do a video like that. That would be fun. Will Frost, love your channel. Appreciate all you do. Thank you so much, Will. I appreciate that. We got Michael Garcia. Congratulations from New Mexico. Right on, right on. Not much like Halloween here. Well, it's not really here either. Like it's been in the 90s all week. It just got stormy, so the temperature dropped a little bit, and that's like all I need. That's all I need to start getting the Halloween spirit. Oh yeah, Breakdown. Man, Breakdown is one of the top movies that I've seen so far this year as far as first time watch. It's definitely one of the best. Like Breakdown and Hardcore, those might be my favorite movies I've seen so far this year for the first time. What's your favorite horror content creator right now? I'm trying to think about horror specific, like for like not quite horror specific. I mean, I love mid-level media, huge fan of what Ken does over there. And I love Born to Be Rad, of course. But for horror specific, I really love Rockland Graves, which I got to do a like podcast with him and a couple other channels that I also like, Beyond the Void Horror Podcast and Splattercast. I like all those guys. Rockland Graves makes these very very high effort, like video essays, but video essays where it's still him sitting there and talking. I like video essays, but I feel a disconnect if I can't see a person talking. So I really like that he does them while you still see his face. So yeah, I'm going to say Rockland Graves right now. I think he's great. Yeah. Will you give us theater movie reviews too? I do sometimes. I don't do it too much, honestly. One of the reason is because like they don't do as well, but like, you know, that's okay with me because like I've really built my channel on talking about older movies, and I love talking about older movies the most. And I love talking about physical media, and it's just kind of, it's not easy for me to get to the movie theater these days because I have a toddler. So I would have to like leave him and my wife alone at home and then go do it, which I do sometimes, but I don't like to do it too much. I like to be here for them. But I do it sometimes. Like I said, I've got a review coming out for a new movie tomorrow. That one I didn't go to the theater. I actually got a screener, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I do it sometimes if I feel like the movie calls for it. I'll probably do a review of Maxine because I'm super excited for Maxine. That comes out next weekend. Always love your Hammer reviews. They're my favorites. Are you getting the Hammer Dracula figure from NECA coming? Yes. Let me tell you right now. In September, NECA is releasing a Hammer Dracula figure. I will be buying that. And I will be kicking off my Hammer Dracula review series. I'm going to do a Hammer Dracula review series, talk about every single one, just like I did for Frankenstein and Amicus. I'm going to do that through the Halloween season. September and October, we're going to make a big deal out of it. I'm very excited. We have 51 people in here. That might be my biggest live stream ever, which makes sense because the channel is the biggest it's ever been now. But thank you all so much for dropping in. You ever consider doing a list of church horror movies? Ooh, that's a great idea. I really like, I mean, I'm sure you guys can tell, but I really like doing horror list videos centered around like settings. Like I did Graveyard, I did Farmland. I've got one I'm planning on like movies that center around occult rituals, which is, you know, kind of adjacent to that. But that's a really good idea. So I'm going to put that in my back pocket. That would be a really good video to do. Because people don't do, I notice people don't do that a lot. They don't do a lot of like top 10 lists or whatever, just based around an atmosphere, a setting. But personally, like I will often watch a movie because I'm in the mood for a certain atmosphere, or mood for a certain setting. And so I think other people probably do too. Just got the DVD of Leslie Vernon ordered and delivered. Can't wait to delve into the extras. It's the only reason I collect extra special looking DVDs now anyway for awesome films. You know, funny thing, I don't really like Leslie Vernon, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. I've seen it a couple of times. I think it demystifies slashers to such a degree that I kind of can't enjoy it anymore, where it basically has this idea that like slashers aren't really slashers. They're these goofy guys that put on masks and put on a big show. And I understand the meta appeal for sure. And I know a lot of people love it. Movies just never worked for me. I've just never been that, I've never enjoyed it that much. Thanks for the Amicus movie info. You're very welcome. Fully Aware will be $80 and will take up most of my budget. I know, it sucks. And the other thing is like, I like opera. I want opera. I don't love opera. So it's kind of hard to justify, you know, but I do like it and I do want it because it's Argento and I love Argento. Absolutely. I always see your comments. You're always commenting those emojis at me and I appreciate it. I see it and I respect it. Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, David. Love your channel and your passion for vintage as well as new horror. I always look forward to your posts. Thank you. I appreciate that. Absolutely, Chase. Not really. I tried watching Doctor Who many years ago. So I watched I started with the Christopher Eccleston era. Because that was what was on Netflix. And at the time I just checked it out on Netflix. I think they started with that. I watched that whole season. I think it was just like one season. And then I started watching the David Tennant era and I watched that for a little bit, but I just never really got that into it and I just kind of dropped it. I understand now I probably should have gone back to like the 70s stuff. I probably would have been more into that. But these days I just don't have time for TV shows. I just really don't. Wish I did, but I'm already like also in addition to the channel and movies and my family and my work, I also want to make time for reading and like that's hard enough and like can't do shows. I do watch shows if my wife is into it because we can watch shows together and that's time we spend together. But she will never watch Doctor Who. That's just never going to happen. Thanks for the Amicus movie info. There have been too many horror movies in the 70s that I missed. Yeah, I noticed I haven't been trying to do a lot of horror movie reviews from the 70s, but I have. I've done a lot of 70s stuff lately, and I love the 70s. Last horror film you've seen in the theater that genuinely frightened you? Anything coming out you're especially looking forward to? There's a lot coming out I'm really looking forward to, but I'll start with your first question. I think the last one was Hereditary. Hereditary was really scary, like, you know, everybody says it was, and it was. And I remember I saw that in theater with my wife, and I could just like feel the anxiety from her. And she's not a scaredy cat when it comes to horror movies. And actually, she was more okay with it than I thought. But when like the accident with the head happens, and it's this incredibly shocking moment, and then it hard cuts to a funeral, and Toni Collette is screaming. It just felt so oppressively stressful and anxiety-inducing. I turned to Steph, and I said, "Do you need to leave?" And I was fully prepared. Like if she said we need to leave, then we would go. Like I'd get her out of there. But she was fine. I didn't give her enough credit. She was totally fine. But that movie like stressed me out. That was a scary experience, and I love that movie. But you know what's funny? It was less scary at home because the Blu-ray was like better quality than the theater. Because I feel like theater projections are bad most of the time now because they don't really hire professionals who care. So the projection was kind of too dark, but it kind of worked in the movie's favor because like you couldn't really see things in the background. Then eventually you'd kind of make it out and it'd be really scary. But then you watch it on Blu-ray, you see everything crystal clear. I thought that was interesting. Anything coming out you're especially looking forward to? Yes. Really looking forward to Maxine. That comes out this weekend. I love X. I love Pearl. I love Ty West. So I'm very excited for that. And I believe just the weekend after that, Longlegs is coming out, which is a new Osgood Perkins movie. He directed The Blackcoat's Daughter, which I absolutely love. And he's Anthony Perkins' son, actually. And it's a serial killer thriller horror movie starring Micah Monroe. And the serial killer is Nicolas Cage. And I remember thinking, like, you know, how is Nicolas Cage really going to be that scary or disturbing? Just because he's just such an icon, you know, like not because I think Nicolas Cage is a phenomenal actor, but he's just such an icon that I feel like he's too familiar. But then I watched the trailer and the trailer is so freaking scary. And you hear Nicolas Cage's voice talking and like, you can kind of tell it's him, but it doesn't exactly sound like him. And he sounds so unsettling. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Terrifier 3. I feel like because I love so many like, you know, classy old British vintage horror films, people might not realize that I also like Terrifier stuff, but I do. I actually thought Terrifier 2 was great. So I'm really excited for Terrifier 3. And then my number one by far is Nosferatu. Nosferatu is my most anticipated movie of the next 10 years. I don't know. I'm so excited for that movie. Oh gosh, the trailer was fantastic. Watched 2 Hammer films the other day. Only ones I've seen besides the Mummy sequels. I watched Curse of the Werewolf and Captain Clegg. Love them both a lot. Awesome. I love Curse of the Werewolf too. I don't quite love Captain Clegg. I want to. I don't know. But it has a great cast and I like it. But man, I love Curse of the Werewolf. So I'm really, really glad you enjoyed those, man. Autumn vibes are the best. I sit here where it was 100 degrees again today. It's storming now. Yeah, it has been a hot summer. And summer just barely started. We got a long way to go. I'm a movie guy from way back, but your channel's got me to buy and watch stuff that's out of my comfort zone. Love the vids. Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful to hear. It's not as cold. I'm telling you. That's probably the biggest reason. We got Davey Deathray in the house. He is a YouTuber. Hello, Davey. I didn't even know you watched my channel. Congrats on 20 subs, man. Already 21K. I'm relatively new sub. Looking forward to the content. You'll be at 25 before you know it. Thank you so much, Davey. Late night with the Davey. I saw that. Love your video reviews. Love from Florida. Thank you so much. Asian Lion or Aslan, not Asian. I'm sorry. Aslan Lion from Narnia. Yeah, I grew up on Narnia. Oh, and you watched that too. Right on, right on. Thank you. I've never seen I Drink Your Blood. I've seen the poster though, so I'm kind of familiar with it. I'll have to look into it. Yeah, it's a pretty good, like, you know, kind of pirate movie. You know what my favorite Hammer pirate movie is, though, is the Pirates of Blood River. Man, that movie is awesome. It's got, like, Christopher Lee as an eye-patched pirate captain. He's awesome in it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Zach. Favorite version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? I will tell you right now. Where is it? There it is. It's the 1931 version, starring Frederick March. Fun fact, this is one of only 2 horror movies where an actor has won an Oscar for it. The other one is Silence of the Lambs, and the other one is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because Frederick March won Best Actor for playing Jekyll and Hyde. Technically, he shared the award. It was a tie. The Oscars don't do ties anymore, but they did for 1931. But this is incredible. It's, of all the adaptations I've seen, it's like the most, you know, straightforward adaptation of the book. It's not totally faithful to the book, but I think it's better than the book. The book is good. My biggest problem with the book is there is absolutely no sexuality in it whatsoever. So it's kind of like a Marvel movie where like no one has sex. And I just find I think that's weird for a movie that's about man's darker nature. And this is a movie that really dives into the dark sexuality that would come with that, which you wouldn't expect for an old black and white movie, but it's pre-code. So there wasn't quite the censorship at this point in history. And it's amazing. Frederick March's performance, he's unrecognizable as Mr. Hyde. Actually, Heath Ledger has never said this, but I gotta think that Frederick March's Mr. Hyde was a big influence on Heath Ledger's The Joker, because he reminds me a lot of him. But it's an incredible film. Love it. Horror Mike's pretty good horror content creator. Check him out sometime. I don't think I know Horror Mike, so I will have to look into that. Thank you. Up and coming horror movies you're looking forward to seeing. Yeah, I just answered that with Maxine, Long Legs, Nosferatu, Terrifier 3. Those are the big ones that come to mind right now. Yes, that would be a good one too. There is like an endless amount of horror lists that I want to do. Just so many. So that's definitely another one. Watched a Carpenter movie called Someone's Watching Me from the 70s. Just a TV movie, really good. Yes, it is. It's a really good thriller that Carpenter did for TV. You can barely tell it's a TV movie. I mean, it's just a good movie. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate it. First physical media purchase. I mean, I can tell you a couple of things. I remember when we got a DVD player. First got a DVD player when I was a kid. And my dad took us to the store. We bought the DVD player. I remember the first 2 DVDs that my dad bought us. Dumb and Dumber and Rocky 2. I don't know why it was Rocky 2 and not Rocky 1, but it was Rocky 2. And those are our first DVDs. And I really wore out that DVD for Dumb and Dumber. That movie is a very special movie between my dad and I. I don't remember what DVD was the first DVD I bought on my own. But I do remember my first Blu-ray. It was Die Hard. That was the first Blu-ray I ever bought. And at the time, I wasn't sure that I was sold on Blu-ray. I think partially because I had a really crappy TV, so I couldn't really tell the difference. But I had a big DVD collection. Then I had a bit of a financial emergency, and I didn't want to ask my parents for money. I was like just starting to live on my own. So I sold all my DVDs to like cover it. And then when I started my collection over, I decided, well, let me go to Blu-ray. And Die Hard was the first one I got. I think I was 19. Into Giallo, very into Giallo. Yes, that's awesome. You're doing a deep dive. Yeah, I want to do more Giallo lists. I don't know. I got to get in the mood, I guess. I will have a Giallo review coming soon, though, because I will be getting the 4K for... What is the movie called? Oh, The Case of the Bloody Iris, which I've seen before and I really like. But there's a new boutique label that just started, and their first release is a 4K of The Case of the Bloody Iris. And I just emailed them the other day, and I decided to take a chance. And I said, hey, I've got this channel. Do you think you'd want to send me a review copy of this, and I'll review it on the channel? And they said yes, so they're shipping it to me. So that's my first like review copy of all of Blu-ray that anyone's ever sent me. So I think that's pretty cool. That's gonna be coming. It looks like we got a super chat. We do have a super chat. I gotta figure out how super chat works. Where is it? Here we go. Brenda. Thank you so much, Brenda. I really appreciate it. New subscriber, a couple of weeks. That I've always loved classic movies of all kinds, but my interest has waned over the last few years. Discovering your channel has reinvigorated my interest. Thanks. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I just cannot say enough how much I appreciate that. People are so nice. Let's see. Oh, we got Garrett, Born to Be Rad. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Garrett is the first like YouTuber that, kind of reached out to me. It was really nice to me. Besides people, there are a couple YouTubers I know in real life that are real life friends. But yeah, Garrett is nicest guy on YouTube. That's what I always say. Best Doctor Who, I'm guessing you mean Tom Baker. Yeah, I could see that. No, that's a TV show, right? I haven't seen it. You bought From Beyond by Vinegar Syndrome. $60. I don't even have From Beyond from Vinegar Syndrome. I'm an OG with From Beyond. So I got the slip-covered Screen Factory that I got way back in the day. Love this movie. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite Lovecraft film. Spoilers for a future Lovecraft list that I may do. But I love it. I think It Falls, last movie I genuinely felt dread despite knowing it was a movie. Yeah, that movie, I still remember the biggest scare of that movie for me in the theater, which was when like they're standing in front of a closet and then all of a sudden, I think it's a closet, it could just be a door. And that super tall guy just like comes out of the darkness and looms over them. Man, I jumped in the theater. But that's a movie that like overall I didn't totally love when I first saw it in theaters, but I've come to love more on rewatches. It's just like it's scary, but it's also just like a very cozy, enjoyable movie. It's just a good vibe. I agree, actually. Yeah. As far as like horror TV movies, my favorite horror TV movies I've seen are pretty much all from the 70s. I do think it was a good time for it. I mean, Salem's Lot. Come on. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Klaus. I was like baffled by how well that first top 10 underrated slasher movies video did. I put it out. Not really. I don't talk a ton. At that time, I didn't talk a ton about slashers. Did a lot of gothic horror, and I put that out as kind of a test. And that video, that's one of my biggest videos now. So I did a part 2, and I'll do a part 1. Planning to do a part 1. Nosferatu trailer was gorgeous. Yeah. And I knew it would be. So it came as no surprise because I love Robert Eggers. I love The Witch. I love The Northman. The Lighthouse didn't totally work for me, but I need to see it again because I think part of the problem was it was just nothing like I expected. I heard people talk about The Lighthouse on a podcast. What they described was not what the movie was at all. They were talking about like krakens and mermaids and all this supernatural sea horror. And I was like, this sounds awesome. And then I go see it and it's about a couple of guys losing their mind. And I was like, that is not the movie I was sold. So I was a little disappointed, but I need to see it again. But I love Robert Eggers. And he's been talking about Nosferatu for so many years, ever since The Witch came out. That was what he wanted to be his second movie. And it kept falling through. It kept not happening. Like he was going to do it with Anya Taylor-Joy. She dropped out. He's going to do it with Harry Styles. Glad that didn't happen because Nicholas Hoult is a huge upgrade over Harry Styles. He dropped out. It kept seeming like it was falling apart. But I'm so happy it's happening because there's potential for that to be the greatest Nosferatu movie. And of course, Nosferatu is Dracula. So that's really what it is. But I think it's interesting that they're sticking with the alternate names that the original uses. The only reason the original doesn't use the names of like Dracula and Jonathan Harker is just because of rights. They didn't get the rights to Dracula. But I think it's interesting Robert Eggers is sticking with those names like Count Orlok. No, but I just heard about it. I believe it's got Hugh Grant, right? And Hugh Grant is like actually one of my favorite actors. I love Hugh Grant. So horror movie with Hugh Grant from A24, I'm in. I'll watch that. We got 63 people in here. That blows my mind. Thank you all so much for dropping in. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1 and 2. Not great Bunny Stitch, but so much fun. Had a blast. That's awesome. I really want to see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. I really do. I plan to see it in theaters and it played near me, but I didn't know it was a one night only screening. Like it opened on Thursday. Like every movie opens these days. So I was like, I'm going to go see it this weekend. But little did I know that Thursday was the only screening. That was it. And I didn't realize that and I missed it. And I was so bummed. And I don't know what's going on, like when it's going to get a streaming release, a physical release. There's, as far as I can tell, there's no word on that. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. We do Blood and Honey 1. I watched part of it. I didn't get through much of it. I was like, I don't feel like I have time for this. I should give it a chance. But the second one looks really good to me. It looks not like good, but like really fun. Holy cow, we got another super chat from Matt Draper. Hey, you're a patron too, I believe. Thank you so much for dropping in. Thank you so much for the super chat. Congratulations on 20K. Love your stuff. If you could create a 4K collection, what movies would be in it and how would you make it special? You know what's frustrating is I know I have an answer to this and I'm blanking on it. I mean, I'll tell you the answer that immediately comes on my mind. I could have swore I had a more interesting answer than forgetting, but it would be a Hammer Dracula 4K collection. The Hammer Dracula series is probably like my second favorite horror franchise overall. I just love that series. Seeing all those in 4K would blow me away. And the idea of them all being in one package is a pipe dream because different studios made different ones. That's why Hammer movies, the rights are such a mess, and why you'll never get like franchise collections of them because like, yeah, Hammer made all the movies, but they partnered with all these different people to do it. So like they did stuff with Universal, they did stuff with Warner Brothers, and the Hammer Dracula rights are all mixed up. But as a pipe dream, I would a 4K really nice box set of all of the Christopher Lee Hammer Dracula films would blow my mind. That would be so cool. And I know I have another answer that's something that I'm always hoping for, and I can't remember what it is, but I'll come back to it if I remember. But thank you so much for the super chat. All right, what else do we got? Gary says, the first movie I saw after Hereditary that really spooked me was The Dark and the Wicked. I think reeks of evil. I need to see that. I still haven't seen it. I know I need to. There's an American remake coming out soon, but like I really don't care because I don't want to be too down on people that like won't watch subtitles because I was never a person that wouldn't watch subtitles, but there was a time in my life when like I would prefer not to watch subtitles. It was a little bit more extra effort, but I really just, at this point, it makes zero difference to me. I watch stuff with subtitles all the time, and I could not care less. So I don't care about an American remake, but I do really want to see that original. Hey, that's awesome, Davey. Very cool. I didn't know you were into the vintage stuff as well. You should talk about that in a video sometime. That would be cool. Let's see. On the milestone, saw many of the Hammer films and other horrors of the 70s at the drive-in. Where was there a drive-in you went to? Oh, man. Okay. I love drive-ins. I did not grow up with them because I never had a drive-in near me, at least not like close enough. And my parents just never took us, and drive-ins was never really a thing we talked about or thought about. But as an adult, I've come to have such a fascination with drive-ins, and I love them. I've not been able to go to one since my son was born. It's just not possible. I mean, I would have to go. I would have to go with like friends or something, but I couldn't go with my wife, and I couldn't go with my kid. When my kid gets a little older, I'll be taking them to drive-ins as much as I can. But yeah, I don't have any drive-ins close by, but there's one about 40 minutes away that I go to sometimes. It's not great, but it's decent. There's some others that are a bit of a drive away. I live in Missouri, and a little fairly far from me is the 66 drive-in in Carthage, Missouri. And it's like an OG Route 66 drive-in. Started back in like the 1930s or something. And it looks really cool, and I really want to go, but just got to find that right time that works with the kid and everything. But also I have been to, I've also been to the Mahoning drive-in in Pennsylvania, which is like the best drive-in in the country, the coolest drive-in in the country, because they're the one drive-in that still only shows movies on almost exclusively shows movies on 35 millimeter film, and they just show old movies, and they do like old cult movies, and they make big events. So I went to an Argento night there. I saw Suspiria and Inferno. And then the next night we also went, because we stayed in Pennsylvania for a bit, and then we saw Dirty Dancing. And that drive-in is awesome. It's so great. By the way, Mark, I just noticed that this is the Mark who runs a podcast that I just guested on. It hasn't posted yet, but we talked about Curse of the Undead on that podcast. And of course, because when I go live, I blank on everything. So I'm blanking on the name of the podcast, but it is... You'll have to remind me, Mark. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I guess on the podcast, and that'll be out soon. Yo, we got Mel from My Killer Podcast. Hey, Mel, thank you so much for dropping in. Mel has a fantastic channel. She's part of the Rad Pack. The Rad Pack is so awesome. And she just appeared in my top 10 underrated creature features video talking about Rawhead Rex. So thank you once again for that, Mel. Really appreciate it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really, really good. Hammer did another pirate movie, too. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not near as good. Pirates of Blood River is really something special. I still haven't seen the silent one. For a long time, I've been planning to do a top 10 Jekyll and Hyde movies video. Like I did top Dracula movies, top Frankenstein movies. I really want to do Jekyll and Hyde. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I'll definitely watch that silent one before I do that video. Favorite horror movie from the 2000s. So I'm assuming you mean like just the 2000s, like not the 2010s. In that case, I would have to like look at all the list. I mean, I will get to that because I'm doing like a series on my top 20 horror films of each decade. The 1960s is coming up next. That'll be in July. So I'll be able to give you an official answer then when I make it to the 2000s. But off the top of my head, I'm going to say Drag Me to Hell. Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell. Yeah, I love that movie. Like, it might be my favorite Sam Raimi horror movie, like even over the Evil Dead movies, which I know is a big hot take, but man, I think Drag Me to Hell is fantastic. So that's what I'll say without actually looking at anything official, but I feel pretty good about that. Okay. You guys are doing great. Popping in questions and chats. We got 71 people in here. This is by far my biggest live stream. I feel like I'm sitting here rambling. So thank you all so much. Many Hammer films I haven't seen yet. There's one Hammer horror film. I think there's only one Hammer horror film that I haven't seen yet. From like the classic era. There's modern ones that I haven't seen, like The Lodge. I haven't seen The Lodge. But I still haven't seen The Nanny. The Nanny starring Bette Davis. It eludes me. It's not on streaming. It's not on Blu-ray. There's a DVD that's way out of print and super expensive. I just need to talk to one of my friends who sails the high seas and see if he can hook me up with a copy of The Nanny, because I really want to see that finally. Do you have any Screen Team releasing films? No. Mike Kenny, speaker, author, and podcast host. Here's a toast to the speaker, author, and podcast host. That's very cool, Mike. Very, very cool. I haven't heard of Screen Team releasing films. Why not? I'm going to go ahead and give a quick Google. Yeah, they seem to release old movies. Oh, they put out Spider Baby. Oh, okay, that's cool. I like Spider Baby. Interesting. I will have to look into them. I hadn't heard of that boutique label, but that's cool to know about a new boutique label for sure. Just discovered your channel. I'm new to horror. Never been big into it since an ex who was super into it. Any suggestions to get into horror? That's interesting, because like, you know, I don't really see my channel as like a gateway channel or anything. Like I, you know, get pretty deep into some weird stuff and old stuff and such. So that's cool that you enjoy my videos. I guess I do like some overview, top 10 list, give a lot of recommendations. So I guess that makes sense. But that's cool that people are new to horror also watching my channel. Sometimes I don't realize that. Suggestions to get into horror. I mean, gosh, there's just so many directions you go. It kind of depends on what kind of movies you like, you know, because like if you like, you know, classics, like classic movies, you like Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon, then like watch those Universal Monsters movies for sure. You'll love them. But if you like, you know, like modern 2000s action movies and such, and like watch some 2000 slasher film, you know, I would say like pick an era that you really like movies from. Like if you really like watching 80s movies, you know, maybe you watch a lot of 80s action, 80s comedy, check out some of those classic 80s horror films, the big ones. I always say like start with the big ones, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street and such, if you haven't seen those. Or also, you know, think about like an atmosphere that you like if you're like kind of drawn to like a spooky graveyard, then, well, I guess check out my video on top 10 graveyard horror films. There you'll get some suggestions there. But yeah, if you want to drop in more information in the chat about, you know, what kind of movies you're into, that could help me give a better answer. Just came across your channel for the first time last night and subscribed. What do you think is the best special feature on a Blu-ray or DVD? Well, thank you so much. You know, the first one that actually comes to mind is not horror. So this is a Warner Archive Blu-ray for Gun Crazy. It's a classic noir film from the 1949, I think. No, maybe 1950. And it's got a documentary on here, a full documentary about film noir. It's called Film Noir: Bringing Darkness to Light, and it's a really good documentary. So like, I love this Blu-ray, not just for the movie, but for that doc. I love documentaries as special features. So like, Vinegar Syndrome is really good with that. Oh yeah, this is a good one. So this is a Vinegar Syndrome for A Blade in the Dark, Lamberto Bava Giallo. This also has a full documentary on Giallo. And I'd actually seen the documentary before I got this release. So it was really cool. I just saw it on streaming. So that was very cool that like, oh wow, now I actually own that documentary on physical media. I think it's called, I'm trying to remember what the documentary is called. All the Colors of the Dark, I think. Yeah, All the Colors of Giallo. It's 89 minutes, feature-length documentary exploring Giallo films. Yeah, so I'm going to say those two documentaries, Gun Crazy for the Film Noir doc, Blade in the Dark, although I think this is sold out and not even available anymore, which sucks, for the Giallo doc. Those are the first ones that come to mind. That's a good question. Thank you, Justin. Thanks, Daniel, for bringing me into Carpenter films. I wish I could bring you a little bit more into Fritz Lang's. Oh, I like Fritz Lang. There's a lot of Fritz Lang movies I like. Yeah, you're here at Universal Studios. I've seen that in your community tab on your channel. Classic monsters everywhere you go broke by shirts here. Yeah, I've been there. I've been to Universal Studios. Last time I went was in Florida. I went for Halloween Horror Nights. I think it was in 2019. So I think I went like right before COVID hit, and it would have been impossible to go for a couple more years. And it was great. It was super fun. Yeah. I love that place. Matty Man Dodge, Night Gallery, hosted by Rod Sterling, also in the 70s. Very cool. That's probably great. I wish I had more time for sure. Do you and your wife go heavy with the decorations on Halloween? Yes, we do. I wish we went heavier, but I would have to spend more money on it, and I'm currently not willing to do that. I'd have to cut back on Blu-ray, so I'm currently not willing to do that, but at least not too much. But yeah, I do decorate outside. We did have this giant inflatable ghost, but it conked out last year, so I'm gonna have to get something else. One thing I've always wanted for the yard is I want an animatronic full-size scarecrow. They have them at Spirit Halloween. Always wanted it. I think it costs around like $300. Maybe this is going to be the year. We'll see. But I do a lot of decorating inside too. I love Halloween decorations. I mean, I just love going to stores and just looking at Halloween decorations. Actually, there's a Joann Fabric store like kind of near my office where I work. And I walked over there the other day to just kind of check for Halloween decorations. They had a bunch of Halloween decorations. They had like 3 aisles of Halloween decorations already late June. And it made me very happy. The first Salem's Lot scared the bejesus out of me. Watch the second half in a dark rec room full of other teenagers. That's great. That's another movie that I'm very very excited for to come out this year is the new Salem's Lot film, which is another movie that's like been talked about for a lot of years. I think it's been done for a lot of years. It just kept getting pushed back by WB, but they announced it's going to come to HBO Max this year. So, you know, a little disappointed it's not going to be in theaters, but it'll be easier for me to watch it at least. So I'm very excited for the new Salem's Lot. Yes, Celluloid Dreams. They're doing The Case of the Bloody Iris. Next one is Black Belly of the Tarantula, which is a great giallo. I didn't love Black Belly of the Tarantula, but I would certainly be open to getting that 4K and giving it another shot for sure. But The Case of the Bloody Iris I loved, so I'm really excited to watch that again in 4K. Lighthouse deserves multiple viewings. Highly recommend a rewatch. Yeah, I will before Nosferatu comes out. I want to rewatch all his movies before Nosferatu. Yeah, I love that they casted Willem Dafoe since he was Max Schreck, Nosferatu, and in Shadow of the Vampire, which is a cool movie. Oh, shoot. I didn't plug my computer in. Hang on, guys. I got to plug my computer in. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Okay, yeah, the battery saver popped in, you know, saying that my computer was running out of battery, and I realized I hadn't plugged it in, so we're good now. By the way, when I stepped away, my brain started working again, which is great, and I remembered the other 4K box set. It doesn't have to be 4K, it can be Blu-ray, but the other box set that I really want, and it's not horror, but I would love the Fred and Ginger musicals all on Blu-ray. The only one that's on Blu-ray is Swing Time, but there's 7 or 8 of them. There's lots of good ones, and they're not on Blu-ray at all. I think it's obvious that Criterion should do that as a box set, but they haven't. So that's my other answer. For those of you that like classic musicals, I know that's kind of weird. Okay. Lots of stuff. I'm trying to find where I was. Here we go. True to its title. Cool. I'm looking forward to it. I gotta watch it. 3:45 in the morning here. Gotta go to work. Wow. See ya, man. Thank you so much for dropping by. Hugh Grant has such a great acting range. Recently he was an Oompa Loompa, Tony the Tiger, and now apparently a deranged person. He's fantastic. And he's taken such a good direction with this last part of his career. Because, you know, he was like, you know, the handsome guy, the rom-com guy for a long time. And now that he's an older man, he's really taken this turn into like interesting character actor. And he's doing so good with it. I love him. I love so many of his movies. Sneak preview of The Northman. Took a bathroom break in the middle. Ran into Robert Eggers in the lobby. He was super nice and very humble. That's so cool. That is so cool. I would have geeked out. I love him. Haven't seen a picture of Count Orlok yet, but Bill Skarsgård's playing him is going to be scary as hell. As far as I know, they haven't released a picture. You can see him very briefly in the trailer, but they're really hiding him, which I think is cool. Keep the mystery around him for a little while. Yeah, very, very excited for that. My favorite movie of all time is Fright Night, from the original from 1985. It's just like the most fun, enjoyable movie I've ever seen. For a long time, my favorite movie was Jaws. And I would say at this point, Jaws is my second favorite, but I just can't deny how much Fright Night means to me. Bit suspicious that so many Scream Factory Hammer films are going to OOP. Yeah, I think they're giving up the rights. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those. Ideally, I think Vinegar Syndrome starts picking them up. That would be the best if they start giving them like the Dr. Terror House of Horrors treatment. I mean, that would be ideal. But most of my Hammer films, I'm good with the Scream Factories I have, and I'm not going to necessarily rebuy them all, but some of them I would on 4K. DVD is one of my Halloween movies to watch. I need to upgrade to Blu-ray. I'm not sure what movie we're talking about there. I forgot already. I'm pretty far down. There's a lot going on in the chat. I always say you have to be in the mood to read a movie. I have some, but don't watch them as much for the same reason. Yeah, at this point, I don't know. I think I just built up a tolerance, and it doesn't really make any difference to me anymore for the most part. Newbie horror fan. The Ritual on Netflix got me wanting more. I've been meaning to rewatch The Ritual, actually, recently. I mean, I would say go with, if there are classics you haven't seen, then go with the classics. And I don't necessarily mean by classics like old black and white. I just mean like, if you haven't seen Nightmare on Elm Street, watch that. If you haven't seen the original Dawn of the Dead, definitely watch that. If you haven't seen Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, The Omen, like watch those. Like, I very much think like there are certain prerequisites that like everybody needs to see. You don't necessarily have to see every classic, every prerequisite right away, but yeah, I mean, usually if like tons and tons of people are a big fan of them, it's for a reason. Like, and I think you should check them out. But I don't know what you've already seen. Maybe you've seen all those. Really love your autumn and farmland theme lists. Any other specials like that coming up? Yeah. Just knock this out. My goodness, this live stream's a mess. Just knocked my headphones out, which I guess doesn't really matter that much, but yeah, I really want to do more atmosphere type lists. Like I'm starting to plan one around like, occult rituals. Somebody in the chat suggested like church themed horror movies. I really like that idea. So I might do something like that. I've always wanted to do a dark and stormy night horror list. There aren't, I mean, I've got to work on that more because I don't have a list like, ready or anything, but that's one that I've always wanted to do. So if anybody has, suggestions for dark and stormy night horror movies, let me know. Yeah. If you haven't seen any of those, watch them. Those movies could not be better. They're all awesome. Celluloid Cemetery. That's it. Episode drops July 19th on Celluloid Cemetery. Mark and I are talking about Curse of the Undead, and it's a fun movie. No, The Dark and the Wicked, right? No, The Dark and the Wicked, isn't it like a Swedish film? And there's an American remake coming out soon. I saw Where Evil Lurks. I like that movie a lot. I could have swore Dark and the Wicked. What's the like Swedish movie then? The Shudder movie that made a big splash. I'm Googling it. Oh no, it is American. I'm thinking of a different movie. Okay, it's not When Evil Lurks. What's the Shudder horror movie? I think it's Swedish, could be German, and it's getting an American remake this year with James McAvoy. What is that movie? I'm scrolling at the bottom, see if anybody helps in. Not yet. Yeah, I'm not sure what movie that is, but thank you so much, Gary. You are correct with the correction. That is an American film. I didn't realize that. Are there any not well-known horror comedy movies you would suggest that were made in the last 20 years? I mean, and that would definitely be a good list to do, to look at all the options. I mean, I love What We Do in the Shadows. I don't know if that's not necessarily well known. Yeah, it's tough. Horror comedies. I liked Happy Death Day a lot, but again, that's probably fairly well known. Oh, I'll give you one. I think it came out last year. It's called Sorry About the Demon. It's a Shudder movie. It's about this young guy who moves into this house and he finds out there's a demon possession in the house. And basically the owners of the house just lent him the house so the demon could take up somebody that's not a member of their family. They're like, the demon's going to possess somebody. I don't want to be a member of my family. So we're going to rent it to this random guy and it can possess him instead. So then he has to deal with that. And it's funny, but it's also like pretty sweet. It's got some like good emotional moments too. And it's not like a, you know, an incredible movie, but I thought it was like just surprisingly well done for a little Shudder horror comedy. So sorry about the demon. That's my answer. Yes, definitely excellent suggestions. Yeah, I mean, when I was a little kid, I was watching Horror of Dracula, Curse of Frankenstein, Curse of the Werewolf. Loved all those. So I agree they're a good starting place. It is okay. Maybe that's a new upload. I've searched YouTube. I think I found one version that was like terrible quality, but maybe that's like a new upload or something. So I will look into that. Thank you so much for letting me know, Jim. Okay, cool. Thank you. Hey, Ron. All right, cool. Thank you so much for dropping in. I really appreciate it. Let's see. We're an hour into this, so I'm going to take a pause from the chat. I will come back to it, and I'm going to start going through my Vinegar Syndrome sale haul. So I got 7 titles here. However, this first one, I technically didn't buy it from Vinegar Syndrome. I'll get into it here. It's Invasion USA with Chuck Norris. So this is a canon movie, action movie from 1985. The week of the sale, they announced that they were releasing Invasion USA. And I knew I wanted it at some point, but I didn't buy it. And then later I just regretted it and I wanted it. I wanted to rewatch it. And I also wanted to rewatch it because I'm doing a list video on canon movies pretty soon. I want to be able to talk about this movie. So I bought it on eBay. I didn't pay much more than I would have paid on Vinegar Syndrome anyway. So it was like fine. And I got it right away. So that's Invasion USA. I have since watched it. Looked great on 4K. Was a lot of fun to rewatch. It's a completely ridiculous movie. Ridiculous and really fun. So that is Invasion USA. And then next up, actually more Chuck Norris. We got Sidekicks. So I got the VSU, Vinegar Syndrome Ultra edition of Sidekicks. I actually really like this movie. I just recently saw it, I think like last year for the first time on streaming. And it's like a Karate Kid kind of movie about a young kid who's bullied and he has asthma and he's just kind of struggling. And he daydreams about his hero, action movie star Chuck Norris. And Chuck Norris plays himself and he has daydreams about him. But he starts, learning martial arts and becoming a better person. And I really like it. So I got this really nice VSU edition. Very cool. These are like the nicest physical media releases that Vinegar Syndrome's doing, or really that like any boutique label is doing. So inside the box, you've got a book, a lot of information about the movie, and they've got the actual movie in a separate slipcover. So it's just an insane level of packaging. The only other VSU that I have right now is Beastmaster, but I'm starting to get the bug and I'm starting to want more of these. So yeah, I'll probably be getting more of these before long. The ones that I can, at least, that aren't out of print. So that is Sidekicks. Putting it on back in there. All right. So now we're out of the Chuck Norris and onto some horror movies. I got Rush Week. Rush Week is a 1989 slasher film. And I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's really good. And I really like the slipcover. A friend of mine told me that the slipcover does not lie. It actually has a killer that looks like that. And I think that looks pretty darn cool. And I'm hoping it'll show up on my volume 3 of underrated 80s slasher movies. So that's my hope, is I'll be talking about it in that video, assuming I like it. We will have to see. I'm going to scroll down the chat, see if anybody's saying anything about these movies. Oh, everybody's saying it's Speak No Evil. Yes, that's exactly it. Speak No Evil is the movie I was thinking of. So that's another movie I want to watch. So I need to watch Dark and the Wicked, and I need to watch Speak No Evil. So thank you. I think he's talking about Sorry About the Demon. Right on. No, I have not done either of those, but Zombies is my next project I have in mind. Like I've been doing a lot of ranking videos about vampire movies, and I'm planning on ending that soon with a big epic all-time favorite vampire movies list video. And after that, I want to start doing the same thing for zombies. Go zombies by decade. So I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. Yeah. That's the first one that came to mind with Dark and Stormy Night horror movies. Like Old Dark House, first one I thought of, and then I was like, okay, I got to come up with some more now. Next up from Vinegar Syndrome, I got Flesh Eater. Speaking of zombies, this is a zombie movie. Fun fact about this movie, it's actually starring and directed by Bill Hinsman, who plays the first zombie in the original Night of the Living Dead. So he is the cemetery zombie that comes after Barbara. And here he just decided, I'm going to make my own zombie movie. And he made this, and I've heard it's really, really fun. Low budget, silly, but a really fun zombie 80s movie. So really looking forward to watching Flesh Eater. Then I got, here's one I just don't know very much about, but I decided to take a shot with it. This is Frostbiter, Wrath of the Wendigo. And this is from 1995, I believe. And I believe it's like people in a cabin in the woods horror movie. And I've heard it's kind of Evil Dead-like. And that just kind of sold me all on its own. There's some really cool, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see them. Yeah, you can see those pretty good. There's some really cool pictures on the back of some crazy looking makeup. So I'm really excited to watch Frostbiter. I don't know much about it, and I'm excited to find out. If anybody has seen Frostbiter, please let me know. Let me know what you think. Hey, Frank is back in the house. Frank, I was just talking about how I've been really enjoying your channel recently, and I was just watching your channel while I was doing dishes tonight after dinner. So thank you for putting out the good content, brother. Doing a great job over there. And next, I got the VSA edition of Undeclared War. This is another action film, so not a horror movie, but it's a Hong Kong action film. And I have been really getting into Hong Kong movies lately. That's kind of been one of my new obsessions that has started this year. And I've heard this one's really good. A friend of mine highly recommended it. So it's a lot of just crazy, wild stuff happens in it. It's a really beautiful edition. The VSU editions are bottom loaders. They're kind of like VHS cases like that. So there it is in there. And yeah, I'm really excited. Hong Kong action movie. I'm down. I'm down for that kind of stuff these days. So that is Undeclared War. Looks like Fight the Good Fight. Got Flesh Eater as well. Very, very cool. And then last but not least, even though it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, I got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on 4K. It kind of breaks my heart a little bit because this is just the standard edition. They released a really nice package edition with a slipcover and a side-loading hard box, and it sold out. It came out during the time when I was just paying less attention to Vinegar Syndrome, and I was aware it came out, and I just kind of put off buying it because it was very expensive. I'll admit that, and I just never got it, and it sold out. So I just got the standard edition. But honestly, like, you know, I was feeling kind of bummed that I missed out on the nice edition. But I saved like $20 because the nice package edition was about $45, and on sale in the standard edition was $25. So I saved like $20 not buying the nice packaging. So that's okay. Also, I was more okay with the fact that I just got the standard edition when I realized this was the reversible cover art, because I really like that. I don't actually super like the original poster art that they did, Vinegar Syndrome did. So this is their art, and that's the art that's on the hard box. And I don't love it. I don't love it, honestly. I really don't. But when I saw that was the alternate art, I was like, okay, I feel better about a standard edition then, because I do really love that Breakfast Club inspired poster. And I love this movie. It's coming up in a video coming on the channel next week, so I'll talk more about it then. But I love it. Sometimes I think I like it more than the original. I don't think it's better than the original, but like it makes me really happy. I think it's just so much fun. Absolutely. Totally agree. I do like nice packaging though, because like, you know, I am a collector and I just like, you know, art and I like the artwork and such on a really nice slipcover and such. But the movie is undoubtedly the most important thing for sure. Yeah. I'm really excited to watch it in 4K. I haven't actually watched the 4K yet, but I love the movie. Then you paid a lot of money for sure. I've been searching around eBay for months, like trying to find a good deal. Could never find a deal I was willing to pay for. Oh, okay. You like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 better than the original. Very, very cool. Yeah, it's so fun. It's just so. I said I said this in a video that's coming out soon, but I kind of feel like I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre with my head, where like I know it's such a great movie, but I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with my heart, where it just makes me really happy and I just have so much fun watching it. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, there's an unrated version of Abigail? I didn't know. I loved Abigail. I got a review for it on the channel if you're curious, if you haven't seen it. But I love that movie. It's great. So that's very cool. There's an unrated version. I'd like to see that. Yeah. You know what is my greatest physical media regret that I did not buy, is sold out, and is crazy expensive on eBay, is the VSU of Roadhouse. I have Roadhouse on the Shout Factory Blu-ray. It's good. I never did buy that VSU because I was just that came out of time I was paying a little less attention to Vinegar Syndrome, and I still regularly scope out eBay for it. It's always so insanely expensive, and I don't buy it. But man, I wish. No, I haven't. But yeah, I know there are some interesting things being made. Like I know Talk to Me was made by horror YouTubers, and I love Talk to Me. Hello there, Adrian James. Thank you so much for dropping in. Let's see. I've got some other movies that I want to show you that I picked up recently. I said in a video recently I was trying to cut back on collecting, and that hasn't super been happening, to be honest with you. So I got some other stuff to show you guys. Big fan of giant monster movies. Do you like the horror aspect of Shin Godzilla or the cut horror aspects? I'm actually not a big kaiju guy. I loved Godzilla movies when I was a kid, and that love has not really followed me into adulthood. But I do love the original Godzilla. I think it's a great movie. I thought Shin Godzilla was really good too. And I fully intend to watch Godzilla -1, but I haven't watched it yet, but I want to. But I do love King Kong. I'm a little bit more of a Kong guy than a Godzilla guy. So I love the original King Kong. I love Kong Skull Island. I think Kong Skull Island's the best out of those recent MonsterVerse movies. But yeah, Shin Godzilla is really good. Absolutely. Chase has a fantastic channel. Fantastic. I've missed a lot of stuff. If anyone has a problem with subtitles, use a tablet to watch the movies or shows instead of a big screen. It makes them much easier to follow. Yeah, I think one thing that kind of turned me off of I feel like there was a delay there on the screen. There's not anymore. One thing that turned me off of subtitles was the first subtitled movie I ever saw in a theater was The Raid 2. And it drove me crazy because I was watching it on this big screen and I literally felt like I had to like move my head up and down, where I was like, okay, look at the text, look back up at the person's face, look at the text, and it drove me nuts. But yeah, now at least like watching them at home, it makes no difference to me anymore. Okay, yeah, The Bat, good. Black Cat. Now, I haven't seen the 1941 Black Cat. I've seen the 1934 Black Cat, so that's interesting. Cat the Canary, yes, I love. Ghostbreakers is good. Murders in the Blue Room, I'm not familiar with that one. So yeah, thank you so much for all those suggestions. Yeah, Speak No Evil. Yeah, glad you enjoyed it too, Mike. Very, very cool. No, I'm not familiar with that one. David Warner? Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I did a whole list video on my favorite Frankenstein adaptations, and I did a lot of research on Frankenstein adaptations. I didn't come across that. So thank you for putting that on my radar. I'm going to have to look into it. 87 people in here. That's insane. Thank you all so much. If you haven't said hi in the chat, pop on in, say hi, ask me a question. Here to answer your questions. Whatever. Only one movie that truly scared you, gave you the creeps. What would it be? Mine would be The Changeling, starring George C. Scott. I have kind of answered this on the channel before, but so some people will be like, he's talking about this again. As a kid, it's the original The Fly. As an adult, it's The Witch. The Witch is the scariest movie I've seen as an adult. It like terrified me in the theaters, but in a good way, where like I loved the movie. I was like, that thing is so scary and awesome, and I love it. And then the ending of the original The Fly with Vincent Price with the spider. Scariest thing I ever saw when I was a kid. Terrified me. My favorite Goosebumps episode is The Haunted Mask, which I've got The Haunted Mask right back there. Yeah, absolutely love it. Love it. That also scared me when I was a kid, but in a way where like I loved it and I watched it several times, even though it scared me. It's also my favorite Goosebumps book. I think it's just such a great story. And as a kid, I always wanted a haunted mask. Like I wanted a replica of that. And it didn't exist when I was a kid. Nobody was making that. So then Trick or Treat Studios made that recently, and my wife bought it for me because she's awesome. That made me so happy. Any horror movies you refuse to watch, not because of scare factor, but for other reason? Yeah, there is. I'm not one of those people that will just watch anything. There are certain things I just don't want to see. So one, I've only seen half of Cannibal Holocaust. Watched it with some friends, and I was the one, even though like probably from that group of friends, I'm the biggest horror fan. I'm the only one that wouldn't finish it. I got like halfway through and I was like, I don't want this in my brain anymore. It was like, it wasn't even like the eating people part. It was mostly like the sexual violence of it was just really disturbing to me. And I just could not do it. And I put in headphones. I got on my laptop and I watched Jackie Brown. So I watched Jackie Brown while they were finishing Cannibal Holocaust. And I was like, I'm having a good time now. So there's that. I don't want to finish that movie. Human Centipede. I'll never watch that. Because I know what it's about. And when I even think about that, like it's so on my no list. I do not want to spend a movie thinking about that or God forbid see it. So no, I'll never watch Human Centipede. I'll never watch the Serbian film. No interest in the kind of thing that movie offers. I don't know if I'll say never, but I really do not intend to watch Martyrs. That's just sounds, from what I know about that movie, that sounds more extreme than I want to go. I am ultimately a fun horror fan. I will watch scary, disturbing stuff too, as long as it's not like too extreme. But yeah, those are the top ones that come to mind. And I especially, I don't like the stuff that has a lot of sexual violence. I try to stay away from that for the most part. What's up, Eli? We got Chris from Figure Out Films. Go subscribe to Figure Out Films, everyone. He is awesome, and he was just in my Creature Features video. Bonjour from Taiwan. He's on his honeymoon right now. I was just in his wedding. With the recent love and popularity of custom cases cover art, do you have your eye on any or like to upgrade? I don't think so. I don't really see myself buying a slipcover or a case like separately. I don't think that's something I would ever do. Except maybe if I was trying to complete like my Vestron collection, because those are all slip covered and I don't want one to stick out like a sore thumb. But for the most part, no, I wouldn't say so. Beast with Five Fingers with Peter Lorre, great movie. Okay, cool. I haven't seen that one. My old professor was an art director on the New Salem's Lot. Whoa, that's cool. Tell him to send me a link to that movie. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm really excited to watch it. That movie's a shame of mine because I own it. I've owned it for years and I still haven't watched it. Terrible. I need to watch it. I've heard it's great. I will watch it. Yes, it does. Yeah, I love Just Before Dawn. Fantastic. I'm kind of going backwards here. So somebody was just responding to him. Yes, I have. I talked about it in my first top 10 underrated slashers video. So I discussed it there. It's not really in my reach, but I have the Code Red Blu-ray right down there. And yeah, I love it. Love it. I think it's so intense and it's so like realistic. Like it doesn't feel like a flashy movie thing. The characters don't feel like movie characters. Like it all feels very grounded. And the scenery is beautiful. And the ending is the greatest kill off a slasher killer of all time. A Final Girl has never killed off a killer in a cooler way than Just Before Dawn. Yeah, for sure, Dave. For sure. Love Halloween Horror Nights. So far, only been that one time, but it was great. And we only went to half the houses because the lines took so long. That's all we had time for, really. And like we really wanted to go on Stranger Things because like my wife especially loves Stranger Things, but the line was always 2 hours. But we went on some really cool houses. Killer Clowns we really liked. We went in an Us maze. They had a maze based on Jordan Peele's Us. And that was a movie that I saw in theaters and liked. And then I went through the maze and I was like, I think this movie is like really good. Just like listening to the music, looking at the visuals. I was like, this is really cool. And then I rewatched it on Blu-ray and like, I loved it. And I love Us now. So yeah, Halloween Horror Nights is fantastic. Oh man, you must not be a longtime viewer of the channel, because I feel like I talk about that movie constantly. I feel like people are sick of hearing me talk about that movie. It's one of the greatest things ever made. One of the greatest things ever made. I love it so much. Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite Dracula movie, I have to say. Even as much as I adore Christopher Lee and I adore Bela Lugosi, I just think it's now like Dracula has just never been more epic than that. And just like, man, I love that movie. Love it. It's on Internet Archive for download 720, nice quality. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I swear I looked into this like a few months ago and I only found one stream of it online. It was in terrible quality and it had foreign language subtitles on it. And I was like, I'm just not going to watch it like this. So it must have gotten posted or I was blind before. So I will watch that movie. Oh, cool. Yeah, I love Ginger Snaps, but I haven't seen the other two. And there are so many movies I want to watch, guys. It's ridiculous. But I've been really wanting to watch Ginger Snaps 2 and 3 lately, especially 3. 3 sounds really up my alley because it's like a period piece prequel. That sounds really cool. The Ritual, Alien, favorite horror film, and a lot of kaiju movies. Yeah, if you like The Ritual, I would say, check out more folk horror films. The greatest of which of all time is The Wicker Man, Blood on Satan's Claw, and The Witch. Those are probably my favorite folk horror movies because The Ritual is very much folk horror. So I would check out those. Love your channel isn't only horror, monster, slasher type films. I had to watch a few videos to get that. Made me love your channel more. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. Okay, I think I caught up. So now I need to scroll back down. Holy cow. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I've never done a live stream this crazy with so much in the chat and so many people here. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. That's cool to read from you, Garrett, because you don't like a lot of modern horror movies. So it makes me happy to see you dig a modern horror movie. Yeah, I thought Lights Out was pretty good. And yeah, it was based on a short. Oh, we got Ken. Thank you so much, Ken. I really appreciate it. Ken is just best in the business. He's so good. His channel's awesome. Favorite Ray Harryhausen creation. I mean, I think my favorite Ray Harryhausen movie is, I think it's kind of a weird take, but it's probably The Golden Age of Sinbad, which is the second Sinbad movie. The one you're talking about is the first Sinbad movie. And it was made in the 70s. It's got Carolyn Monroe, and it's so good. It's so fun. It's such a fun adventure movie. And Tom Baker is the villain in it. Someone was talking about Tom Baker earlier. But as far as just my favorite creation, yeah, the Cyclops from Seventh Voyage of Sinbad is definitely high up there. That's a great pick. Of course, I just love the skeletons and Jason and the Argonauts. Super fun. And I do really like the monster in 20 Million Miles to Earth. I don't completely love the movie. I think the movie is pretty good, but I do really love the monster. What's a film people suggest is great, but you disliked? For me, Don't Breathe wasn't as great as people hyped it up. Oh man, hard to think of stuff like that on the fly. Gosh, I mean, I can tell it's easier for me to say like classics that like I respect, but I don't totally love with my heart. Oh, I'll tell you one. I just talked about it on the channel, actually. It was Don't Look Now. I thought I was going to love Don't Look Now because it's the 70s. It's like, I thought it was like a ghost movie. It's got Donald Sutherland. I was so ready to love this movie. And it was so incredibly slow, but I was, sticking with it. And I was like, you know what? It's going to have a great ending. It's going to pull it all together. It's going to be awesome. And I didn't like the ending. I really didn't. So I thought it was a letdown and narrative. Like I got the metaphor of it. I understand the point it's making, but like narratively, I thought it was so unsatisfying and it bummed me out. So I'm going to say Don't Look Now, but it's even dramatic for me to say disliked. It's a movie that was just like disappointing to me, but Donald Sutherland's performance and Julie Christie's performance were phenomenal. And the cinematography and the editing was like really interesting. More on a story level, I didn't love it. I don't love kaiju movies, and I probably won't watch the Ultraman movies. I don't think that's for me. Yeah, I mean, I would really enjoy that. I did several murder mystery videos last November. I never did like an official ranking, except I did do a ranking of all the Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes films. So I did that. But yeah, I would be open to that for sure. Just saw Dead and Buried and Crawl for the first time this week. Love them both. I love those both of those too. They're fantastic. Yeah, it kind of does have Stephen King. Kind of that small coastal town, kind of an atmosphere. That's a really good movie for atmosphere. No, I've never heard of that. Bunny the Killer Thing? Fascinating. I'll have to look into it. Love the obscure creature features vid. Used to watch Alligator late night with my dad in the 80s. Oh, very cool. You know what's funny? I saw Alligator a few years ago before Scream Factory released it on 4K. And at that time, you couldn't get it on physical media and it wasn't on streaming at all. So I watched it on YouTube. It was the only way I could find to watch it. And it looked terrible. It was terrible quality. And I didn't really like the movie that much. But then when it hit 4K, I don't actually have the 4K, but I watched it on Shudder in great quality and loved it. Thought it was like so great. So like, I don't know, that kind of shows you like if you see a movie in good quality, can really change things for you. Yep. The Fly. Oh, when I was a kid, traumatizing. Yeah, absolutely, Brenda. Oh, a lot of people. I must be so behind in the chat. Oh my goodness. A lot of people talk about The Fly. I feel like I talked about that so long ago. Friday the 13th, part 4, and Exorcist, my first horror films that made me a fan. What were your first time horror films that made you a fan? I did do a video on this, and it was actually a respond to a challenge from the Rad Pack, Born to Be Rad, here. But it was on like the horror movies that scared me the most as a kid. So I talked about a lot of those. But for the first movies that made me a fan, it's the Universal Monsters. The first movie I can remember like being like my first favorite movie. I mean, when I was 1, my mom tells me I watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs all the time, but I don't remember that. The first movie I can remember really loving is Dracula with Bela Lugosi. So like those Universal Monsters are so foundational to me, as are the Hammer movies. And then as I started to get into more intense stuff, Poltergeist was a huge deal for me. When I saw that movie, that was like the first movie where I was like, okay, I can actually watch modern, quote unquote. I know, more modern than Universal Monsters. I can actually watch like more modern horror movies and enjoy them and not just be scared. Because before that, like I was just too scared of anything a little bit more modern. So Poltergeist was a big deal for me. Can't tell from the angle, but is your second sight Dawn of the Dead the thick one? I have the thinner one. That's my biggest physical media regret. I have the thinner one. So fun story. I originally bought the thicker one. I pre-ordered it from Zavi and I got it and it cost like $100. And I got it and I regretted it. I was like, I cannot believe I spent $100 on one movie. And I know for a lot of collectors, that's not a big deal. A lot of collectors are they're just bigger collectors than I am. But I felt ashamed of myself for spending $100 on one movie. So I actually sold it and I didn't mean to make a profit, but it was an auction and I made a little bit of a profit off of it. And I used that profit to buy the thinner one and I felt better about myself. So, and I'm fine with that. And I love that movie and it looks great on that edition. So yeah, I know you are. Like, I don't know if you watched it, Garrett, but I watched Planet CHH's video with Justin where they talked about disturbing movies. And that was a great video. It was so interesting, but they talk about a ton of movies I will never see. And that's part of the reason that video is interesting. Like, I'm hearing about these movies, but I'm not going to go watch those movies. It's pretty bad when a seasoned horror bloody flick person won't watch something a whole new level. Yeah. There's, there are certain things I just don't want in my brain. I don't want to think about them. Hollow Jack. I love that name. It reminds me of like Sleepy Hollow and Jack-o'-lantern. I don't know if that's your intention, but hello. Thank you so much for dropping in. Yes, indeed. Yeah, man. I got so much heat in my top graveyard horror movies video for not including that movie. And the thing is, I have seen it. I saw it a long time ago, and I remember thinking it was like really boring. It's just like this really obnoxious guy talking for so long and being pretentious. And then at the end, it becomes like a really pretty cool zombie movie. But I did consider it for that list because I remember like it's got a ton of graveyard stuff in it. So I actually put it on to rewatch it. I just couldn't do it. And I was like, it was as boring and like as obnoxious as I remembered it being. And I was like, I don't want to watch this. So I didn't officially give it a second chance. I just watched a little bit of it, but I kind of gave up on it. But yeah, a lot of people were coming to bat for that movie in the comments of that video. I own between 1,200 and 1,300. I did a complete collection video 2 or 3 months ago, and it was a little over 1,200. So I'm in that range. Oh, right on. You love S. Yeah, us. Yeah. The first time, the reason I didn't love it the first time is because the twist is so insane. Like, it's crazy. Like, the reality of the twist is one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life. And that kind of held me back. But the second time I watched it, I was like, I was kind of blocking the light there. Second time I watched it, I was like, I don't care about that anymore. Like, it's a fun movie. It's got great performances. Like, Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke are so good in it. And it's just got such a good vibe and good imagery. I think it's my favorite Jordan Peele movie, actually. Like, I think Get Out's like technically better, but Us is just like a more satisfying horror experience. I would like to watch more Twilight Zone. I watched a lot of Twilight Zone when I was a kid, but not really as an adult because it's just so hard to find the time. But yeah, I'm sure it's great. Twilight Zone's awesome. Yeah, I feel like, that seems like a good like second sight release like a box set of Interview with the Vampire. That would be cool. I'm really excited that Kino Lorber is releasing Frogs. I don't think it's on 4K. I think it's just Blu-ray, but whatever. I don't care. I think it's part of their Kino Cult line. I'm really excited. I've never seen Frogs, but I've wanted to see it for a long time. And I was talking to my buddy Chris from Figure Out Films, who was in the chat earlier, and he's really excited for it too. And I was like, dude, we're going to have a Frogs watch party. It's going to be great. I'm so excited. And I love Count Yorga. Count Yorga's great. Wow, it's bizarre that you brought that up now because I actually just watched that for the first time and I talked about it in my top 10 underrated creature features video. I love Deep Star 6. I thought it was incredible. And it was so weird because like I thought it was so great. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year. And then I went to Letterboxd and almost everyone I follow on Letterboxd gave it like 2 stars, 2.5 stars. Like, it felt like I was completely on an island. Like, no one else thought it was very good. But then when I put out that video, there were a lot of people in the comments agreeing. So a lot of my viewers agree that that's a good movie. I thought it was really good, really intense, great cast, great characters, really cool monster. I highly recommend it personally. But I will tell you, a lot of people don't agree with me. No. People were suggesting that in the comments of, I think, my haunted house video, and I never heard of it before. So I'm going to look into it. I'm curious. Thank you, Shadow Network. Have Mary Kill. Halloween, Friday, Freddy. So because you said Halloween and not Michael, and Friday, not Jason, I'm assuming you're talking about the franchises and not the actual, not the guys. I will marry Halloween. I love Halloween. It's going to break my heart, but I'm going to F Friday and I'm going to kill Nightmare. But I love Nightmare on Elm Street. In fact, like, the original Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I like a lot of the sequels, but I don't love any of the sequels near as much as the original. Whereas there are definitely a lot more movies in Halloween and Fridays franchises that I do love. So I'm killing Nightmare, I'm effing Friday, and I'm marrying Halloween. That's a great question. I love that. I go to Universal's Halloween Horror Nights every year. You need to plan a strategy and do some running. Last year we had every house and a couple of them twice. Nice. I feel like next time I just need to just buck up or shut up and pay for the Flash Pass. So maybe I'll do that. Have a good one, Ben. Thank you so much for dropping in. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, some of them aren't great for sure, but his effects are always great. I would say my favorite. I'm glad you asked. I love Tobe Hooper, and I should do like a ranking, maybe like a ranking Tobe Hooper's movies or something like that. I think my favorite of his movies is The Funhouse. Love that movie. It is so good. I love the setting of the Funhouse. I like the characters and just the vibe of it, and the monster. Really big fan. As much as I love the Texas Chainsaw movies, and as much as I love Life Force, I think The Funhouse is my favorite. I don't think so. I mean, I've seen the 1950s them, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. So no, I'll have to look into it. Thank you so much, Cheryl's Horrible Horror. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Now I'm curious, them, the giant ant movie, or them, the one that Matt is talking about? I'm curious. The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra. It's a takeoff of old B sci-fi movies, complete with cardboard tube spaceship and total loot. Never heard of it. I'll have to look into it. You guys are giving me a lot of wild suggestions. I love it. Yeah, you know what? Let me just show you my next pickups. So I posted these on my Instagram today, so some of you have probably seen it. But in Amazon had to buy. Let me take this down. Amazon had a buy two, get one free sale. No, that is not what I meant to say. A buy one, get one half off sale on a bunch of physical media. And I got these two new Kino Lorber 4Ks. So one of which is I did get Leviathan. And I've never seen it. I've wanted to see it for a long time. This is another one that I'm pretty sure was like unavailable for a long time because it had an out of print Screen Factory Blu-ray. But yeah, Kino released on 4K. I'm really excited to watch it. And I got Crybaby, which I've never seen this. I didn't intend to buy this, but Ken from Mid-Level Media hyped it up so much and it sounded so good. It's like a teen movie that takes place in the 50s. I love the aesthetic and vibe of 50s teen culture. So yeah, I'm really excited to watch it. Fun story about the Leviathan 4K. I had to return the first copy I got. When I got this in the mail, it was not the 4K slipcover. It was just the Blu-ray slipcover. But when I peeked in down here, it had a black case, which means it's a 4K. So I was like, I think it's the 4K inside the Blu-ray slipcover. And also it had a sticker on the front that said like Halloween spiderwebs decoration. I was like, what? So it was like a weird manufacturing error. And it had a floater disc in. So I was like, screw that. I returned that to Amazon and I got a replacement and I got a good version. So yeah, that was super weird. And also the Crybaby I got, slipcover was kind of damaged. So while I was at it, I returned that too and I got a replacement. So yeah, Crybaby and Leviathan. Really excited to watch those. Let's see, where can I buy horror movies on Blu-ray DVD other than Amazon? I have no idea. Other than Amazon, I mostly buy directly from boutique labels. So I buy directly from Vinegar Syndrome, from Screen Factory, from Kino Lorber a lot. That's usually where most of my buying comes from these days, I think. And then occasionally I'll grab something on eBay. Occasionally I'll grab something in stores if I see it. But yeah, directly from the company is my biggest answer. Tearing the Owls, yeah, I heard about it. That is like basically a clip show of a lot of horror movies, which is interesting. No, I'm open to watching Hostel. It's actually funny that you mentioned that because after I watched half of Cannibal Holocaust, I owned Hostel. I bought it with the intention to watch it, and I got rid of it because I was like, I don't want to watch anything extreme anymore. Like, I'm out. But I've softened on that now, and I like Eli Roth, so I actually do intend to watch Hostel at some point. I just haven't yet. I don't think I'm going to love it, but I think I'll be fine to watch it. I don't think that's really going to bother me. I've never seen anything from Eli Roth that disturbed me that much. So no, I'm open to watching Hostel. Yeah, kind of true, but also watching that video, I was like, it's so good to listen to Justin talk about horror movies again, or just movies again, because he doesn't really talk about movies anymore unless he's on the Rad Pack. And I miss that because I loved The Dead Couch. I loved Movie Watch Daily, and I miss those. But he's finding success, and you got to respect it. Let's see. Are you just movies? Or you branch into comics too? Since Vinegar Syndrome bought Abe on Press. Yeah, I know Vinegar Syndrome's starting to release comics. when I was a kid, I was really into superhero comics. As an adult, I read comics sometimes. The last comics that I read were I've never really read horror comics, but I've read some X-Men and Fantastic Four. I think those are my favorite like superhero properties for comics, especially X-Men. But I don't really read comics hardly anymore now. The last comics anything I read was a graphic novel called Pumpkinheads. It was not actually horror. It was like a very cozy autumnal teen graphic novel thing, and I really enjoyed it. We got 91 people in the chat. This is unbelievable. This is like 4 times the amount of any other live stream I've done before. So thank you all so much for hopping in. Wow, you guys are... No, I didn't get The Relic. Never mind. I bought a movie that's, I feel like maybe similar to The Relic, but it's not The Relic. I do need to watch The Relic. I haven't seen it. I'll go and grab. I've gotten another couple of Kino Lorber 4Ks. I did grab Fletch and Fletch Lives. I was excited that these were getting released because I really like the original Fletch. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it was actually the movie that turned me around on Chevy Chase. I didn't really like Chevy Chase, and I watched Fletch, and I was like, oh, I do like him. That's a really good movie. And I've never seen Fletch Lives, so I'm looking forward to it. So I did pick up those. And then I went to a local store and I picked up these two. I finally bought Halloween Kills. I don't really like this movie, but I want to have all the Halloween movies, and it was only $10 with a slipcover. So I was like, okay, I'm finally going to own Halloween Kills. I have it now. I still haven't taken the sticker off of there. And what I almost thought was Relic, but it's not Relic. I got Feast, which is one of the Dimension Extreme movies. But I've always heard this is like a fun, B monster movie. And it's one I've intended to watch for a long time. And it was $6. So I bought that. So that's fun. Let me know if anybody's seen Feast. Brenda says, I've had to toughen up watching gory graphic violence in movies as I slowly allowed myself to see some over the years. I need to play catch up on a lot of them. I'm usually okay with graphic violence. For me, it's, like I said, it's sexual violence and it's torture. Sometimes I can handle torture, but I just watching like someone go through extreme suffering at the hands of another person, like I just don't want to watch it. And the other thing I have a really hard time watching, it's not really necessarily horror specific, is like wife beating or girlfriend beating. If I see a guy like, hitting his wife or his girlfriend or something like that, like I cannot handle it. Like it's so upsetting to me. So that's one of my top, like I do not want to see that in movies things. See, I love Deep Rising. Yeah, I got Deep Rising right back there. It's fun. I like Deep Star 6 better though. What are your plans to elevate the content or genre real life horror movies, haunted houses where you have to elevate the content or genre real life horror movies, haunted houses where you have to sign a waiver? I'm not sure I understand the question. I don't want to go to haunted houses where you have to sign a waiver. I'll tell you that. I did watch a documentary called Haunters, which is about extreme haunted houses. That's a big no for me. Oh my God, those are so disturbing. But it's over there on that shelf, so I can't grab it for you. I did see a modern horror movie that's about extreme haunted houses. It's called Extremity, and it's really good, actually. I recommend it. Opinion on Japanese horror, like Juninto. I think that's The Grudge, if I remember right. I haven't seen a lot. I've seen not much. I can't think of any Japanese horror movies I've seen. And that's one of my, I've started to get more into Asian horror, just Asian movies lately. Like I said, I'm starting to get into Hong Kong stuff, but I need to start getting into the Japanese stuff. So that's a fun thing about horror. There is always so many corners that you can explore, and there's always more to watch. It's so fun. Thank you, Rich. I really appreciate that. Last really good older movie I watched was 10 Rollington Place. It's so fun to see Richard Attenborough in a dark, creepy role. 10 Rillington Place. I never heard of it. So thank you for putting that on my radar. Thank you so much for dropping in, Rich. What are some of your world Halloween travel sites? I really want to go to Sleepy Hollow, and I really want to go to Salem. I've never been to either of those places. Really want to go at some point. Starting to lose my voice. Yes, absolutely. Midnight Hour is really fun. My dad loves that movie. He saw it on TV back in the day. And he talked about it for a long time, and then we found it on YouTube and we watched it. I really enjoyed it. I think I've seen it 1 or 2 times since then. Yeah, it desperately needs a Blu-ray. I think it's something to do with the music rights that make it hard. But man, if somebody can work it out and get that thing out on Blu-ray, oh my God, it'll sell like crazy. I get so many comments on my channel of people just talking about the Midnight Hour randomly, just like how much they love it. Us as a rad Easter egg at the beginning about the Lost Boys. Yes, they're on the boardwalk. And explain there's a movie being filmed and there are dirt bike tracks going on the beach. That won me. That makes sense. Yeah, that is very cool. Very cool. I don't think I've seen much blaxploitation horror except for Blackula, which I do like. But I do like a lot of blaxploitation movies. My favorite is Truck Turner. Truck Turner is super fun. I've got it right back here. There it is. Yeah, Truck Turner starring Isaac Hayes, and all the music's by Isaac Hayes too. The music's really good. Super fun action movie. I also love Foxy Brown with Pam Grier. Coffee is pretty good too, but most people say Coffee's better than Foxy Brown. I prefer Foxy Brown. So those are probably my 2 favorites. But yeah, I like a lot of blaxploitation movies. Let's see. Actually, I found a DVD copy on YouTube. We're probably talking about The Nanny, I'm guessing. Oh, interesting. Too dark. Fascinating. Favorite box set I own? I mean, technically, it is the Universal Monsters box set. That's like the one box set I just can't live without, because I just have to have those movies. But as far as like a recent, box set I picked up, just really fell in love with. I mean, I've talked about it a million times, but it's the Indicators Mexico Macabre box set. It's got 4 Mexican horror films from 1959 through like the mid 60s. They're so good. Like anytime I buy an old Gothic horror box set, like this is what I'm hoping to get, something of this quality. And then other favorite is Severance, All the Haunts Be Ours folk horror box set. This thing is so beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's got like 20 movies in here or something. I've seen about half of them now, so I haven't finished it yet. But just a lot of weird, interesting, a lot of foreign stuff, folk horror films. You will have never heard of almost anything in here, probably. I mean, I think I'd only heard of like 1 movie in here before. But I think there's only one I didn't really like. And like all the rest are good that I've watched so far. So I love that thing. I need to dive deeper into it for sure. Keep going. Yeah, we got more Funhouse support. Great movie. Oh, well, gosh, thanks, that guy. That is not true at all, but I appreciate it. I'll have to let my wife know and see if she agrees. Deep Star 6, Leviathan, The Abyss, all decent movies came out very close to that. Yeah, all 1989. Crazy. Brian, hello. Just found your channel. Thanks for sharing your obsession. It is an obsession. I cannot lie. Watched Daughters of Darkness the other night with my wife and loved it. Thanks for all the recommendations. Yeah, that's a good movie. I saw that fairly recently for the first time. I watched it leading up to my 1970s vampire movies video and really liked it. Oh my God. Yes, Gary. Yes. I got to do a carnival horror list because that's one of my favorite settings for horror. And there's not like that many, so it wouldn't be hard to do the research and have a pretty comprehensive list. Got to do it. Got to have freaks in there. Saw that sitting right there. Hey, we got Matt Bledsoe in the house. Didn't think I was going to be able to make it home in time for this live stream, but here I am. Just want to say congrats on 20K, man. So happy for you. Thank you so much, Matt. Matt is the best. I've only met him in person once. We got to hang out in person once. We podcast together a million times. Host of the Film Feast podcast. And he's just one of the best people I've ever met. He's just so awesome. Cool. We got some support for Crybaby. Awesome. Yeah, Toby Hooper's Eaten Alive. I am in the same boat. I was also underwhelmed by it. Was not a big fan. Interesting to see Robert Englund in that role, though. Very early Robert Englund. But yeah, I've also only seen it once. Probably due for a rewatch. Probably not, because I don't think I'm really the guy to do it. Because there's so many people that are like huge fans of the Alien franchise. And I'm not really, because like I love the original. I like Aliens. I don't even love Aliens, and I know a lot of people do. I still haven't seen not Halloween 3. I've seen Halloween 3. Still never seen Alien 3. Never seen Alien Resurrection. I don't like Prometheus. I don't like Alien Covenant. So like, I don't really think I'm the person to do it. I did think about maybe just doing it as like a live stream with my buddy Chris from Figure Out Films, because he's big on that franchise. And maybe we'll just talk about it together, because I am excited for Alien Romulus, mainly because I love Fede Alvarez. And I'm just excited for the franchise to get back to its horror roots. And that's what it looks like that's going to be. So I'm excited for that movie. So maybe Chris and I will do a live stream talking about the franchise. We'll see. Hello, Michelle. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you dropping in. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I kind of like Eli Roth. There's a lot of his movies I haven't seen. I love Cabin Fever. Love Cabin Fever. I'll never forget. So I keep talking about Chris from Figure Out Films. We went to college together. He's like one of my best buds in real life. And we had this movie club, and we showed a bunch of people Cabin Fever. And people hated it. They thought it was awful. And they kept like they would like rag us on that for so long about how we made them watch Cabin Fever. We stuck to our guns. We did not back down. We're like, no, you guys are wrong. Cabin Fever is great, and I stand by it. And I also love The House with the Clock in Its Walls. That is like a family-friendly, Halloween-y, scary movie that he did, and it's great. Really, really good. It's probably my second favorite of his movies. You know what's funny? I've seen Hell House LLC, but I don't really remember it. But I want to watch the whole franchise because Umbrella's putting out a box set of it, and I might bite the bullet and pay for that thing because I do want it. It looks really cool. Any movie recs for vehicular combat? That's an interesting one. I'm going to say Race with the Devil. That is like a car action 70s exploitation movie that's also kind of a satanic horror film, and it's really cool. So Race with the Devil is my answer. Yes, indeed. Except no, Evil did not die that night. But Tommy tried, didn't he? Yeah, it's good. That and Regional Vacation would be my favorite Chevy Chase movies. I saw Vacation for the first time like last year and loved it. Loved it. Oh, okay, cool. Chase is a Feast fan. Right on, right on. I'm over the moon excited for it. I don't have like any deep thoughts to give you because like I'm not really an analyze trailers guy. So I don't watch trailers to like guess things and like look at every detail. I really just watch trailers to get a vibe, and the vibe I got was phenomenal. It looks visually gorgeous. I mean, every cast member looks great. I do think it's funny when people talk about that trailer and they say things like, oh, it's good that it didn't give away any spoilers. Because I'm like, spoilers? It's the Dracula story. Like, what is it going to spoil? Like, we know what the story of Nosferatu is. Unless they take some dramatic turns, which you never know. I guess they could. But I'm very, very excited for it. It's my favorite. It's my most anticipated movie of, like, the next ever, basically. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've seen some of that. Or I've listened to some of the podcasts. Like, I listened to the podcast, Eli Roth's History of Horror with Rob Zombie. I love to listen to Rob Zombie talk because like he's so knowledgeable. He knows so much about classic films and classic horror films. I love to hear him talk about movies. Oh yeah. Yeah. It says it right here from executive producers, Wes Craven, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Chris Moore. That's wild. Cool. We got more Feast. I didn't love it. I've seen it twice now. It's okay, but I think it's pretty dumb. I'm just not a big fan of it. I like Halloween Ends a lot better. So, because it's just like, it's an interesting story. It's not always a well-written story, but it's like, it's got a plot and it's got characters, and I find it interesting. Whereas Halloween Kills is just kind of a highlight reel of kills, which is fine if that's what you want, but I found it kind of boring. I wasn't that into it. Yeah, me too. There are exceptions. I actually really like Saw 2. I've only seen the first 3 Saw movies, and that's it. Because I don't really like the aesthetic of those movies, so I'm not drawn to like binge the franchise. But I did like Saw 2. And I really like The Collector. The Collector kind of fits into that Saw Hostel thing, but it's maybe a little bit more of a traditional slasher than those. And I actually thought it was really fun and really intense, like a really effectively intense movie. So if you want to count The Collector under that's one I like. more feast, support. I don't quite agree, but yeah, I love Donald Pleasance in those movies. But there are Halloween movies without Donald Pleasance I like too. I guess not that many now that I think about it. Pretty much all my favorites are have Donald Pleasance, except Halloween 3. No Donald Pleasance in that, but it's great. We got a lot of feast support. Yeah. I don't know what that is, but if you tell me the title, maybe I will know. Horror remakes do you think are better than the originals? I mean, obviously Carpenter's The Thing. I love the original too, but I think the Carpenter's remake, there's no comparison. I had a video where I said Carpenter's The Thing is better than the original The Thing. And I had somebody really arguing with me in the comments and telling me like how stupid that was. And they were like, just because it has a lot of blood and gore doesn't make it a classic. And I had to respond like, there are so many people that think Carpenter's The Thing is the greatest horror movie ever made. Like, it's a classic, like undisputably. And a bunch of people hopped in the replies and like agreed for sure. But yeah, definitely that. The Blob, I like the 1988 The Blob way better than the 50s one, because I actually think the original Blob's not that great, even though I like 50s. I love 50s horror. I love Steve McQueen, but I don't think that the Blob is that good. But I love the original, the remake The Blob. What else? There's not very many, because I pretty much always prefer the original because I like older movies. I can think of other remakes I like, but not necessarily. I actually thought about doing a video on like top 10 remakes that are almost as good as the original. So they're like remakes I like, but are not as good as the original. Like Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead is a good example. I like his Dawn of the Dead, but is it as good as George Romero's? No, it's not even close. But so that's an example of one. But yeah, maybe The Fly, probably The Fly, but I do really love the original Fly too, so it's kind of hard for me to say. Oh, that's so cool. I would love to do something like that. Okay, man. I absolutely will. That would be so cool to see you in person. That'd be awesome. If you come to Kansas City again, hit me up, because I'm pretty close to Kansas City. I live in Missouri, which is funny because I just mentioned I live in Kansas City. But yeah, I am in Missouri. Whoa. Never heard of that movie, Jim. Another one I'm going to have to look up. Very interesting. Okay, cool. Would love to. I'm also looking forward to that collab that you DM'd me about recently. Looking forward to some news about that. Prime 50 worst films was on there. Oh, okay, very interesting. Yes, Something Wicked This Way. It's being slow on me. There we go. Yes, Jones, Something Wicked This Way Comes will have to be on that list, no doubt. Oh, that's fine. If people get my name wrong, they pretty much always say David. So like, I'm kind of used to like getting called David occasionally. So no worries. Or they misspell my last name, but that happens all the time. Yeah. Cabin Fever. That's such a weird movie. Gosh, I love it. Yeah, definitely. I have the DVD. Very proud to have the DVD of that. Not on Blu-ray, but at least I got the DVD. We got Turbo in the house. No, I am not a veteran. I've not been in the military at all. Oh yeah, Dracula vs. Frankenstein, the Al Adamson one. I've never seen it, but I am familiar with it. Well, that movie looks crazy. Ooh, I haven't seen The Man with X-Ray Eyes. That is a Ray Milland movie. I believe my buddy Chris likes that movie because he loves Ray Milland. So I do need to see that. I have not. If it's a TV show, I probably haven't seen it. Sometimes, and like, I fairly often get comments from people who want me to cover certain TV shows, and like, I get it, but it's just impossible. Like, I just don't have the time. Like, it's all I can do to keep up with movies. I really can't keep up with shows. Really, what you have to do is convince my wife to watch the show. If she'll watch it, maybe I'll watch it with her. Absolutely, Carnival of Souls, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Love it. Yeah, isn't that wild? Oh man, I don't know when I'm gonna see it now, because like, I'm really hoping my area will have some kind of early screening, because sometimes they'll have like an early Wednesday screening or something. Like Maxine is getting a Wednesday night screening, and I'm probably gonna go to that a week from today. But I really hope, because like I have a lot of family stuff at Christmas, and there's no way I can go on Christmas Eve, and I can't go on Christmas. Like I would have to ditch my family. I would have to ditch my son. I can't do that. So if they don't have some kind of early screening in my area, I'll probably have to wait until after Christmas, which is a bummer. But I don't have one of those go to the movies on Christmas families. Sometimes I kind of wish I did. That would be fun, but it's never been a part of our Christmas traditions. Thank you so much, Brian. No, never heard of it. Interesting. I've seen that. Yeah, the Tobe Hooper Toolbox Murders. I've never seen the original, so I can't comment on that. But that was a dark, grimy, pretty effective movie. One of Tobe Hooper's better later movies. I haven't watched any of the deleted scenes where Halloween ends, so I'm curious about that. Well, see, that's tough because, like, is Bram Stoker's Dracula a remake, or is it just another adaptation of the novel? That's kind of tough to say, because like I never think of that as a remake, because there are just so many Dracula movies. I just think of it as another Dracula movie. But if we count that as a remake, then yes, that would top the list. And then The Thing would be number 2. Low budget oddities, Carnival of Blood. Oh, I've heard of Carnival of Blood. I need to watch it. Closer to season. Okay, cool. Thank you for those suggestions, because I'll need to do some research on Carnival horror. Because like some, come to mind right away, like Freaks and Carnival of Souls and The Fun House, but need to do some more research for sure. I just recently saw that. I liked it, but it was so close to the original. I thought, like, I don't know why I'd ever watch this again, because I could just watch the original instead, which I think is better. Whereas like Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead is really different. So like I feel like I have a reason to watch it instead of watch the original, because like it's a totally different movie. But the Night of the Living Dead remake is like so much the same. I guess that was my biggest issue with it, but it's like well done. It's like well made. Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know if he's working on something now, but I always look forward to a new Rob Zombie movie. He's hit or miss, but he's interesting. He's an interesting filmmaker. So I would love to see him do something like that. Oh, yeah. You're in Georgia. Cool. H2O, more than Halloween Kills or Ends. I prefer Halloween. I might too. I definitely prefer it to Halloween Kills. I might like Ends better than H2O because it's just so weird. I don't know, but I do like H2O. Yeah, I do need to watch it. Durwood? No, I don't get that joke. If people called me a joking name, it would be Daniel-san from Karate Kid. That's always what I would get. Which is it got a little annoying, but being compared to Daniel LaRusso, that's not too bad. Let's see. Sensor already recommends a must-see. Halloween the OG. Oh, yeah. One of the greatest movies ever made. See you, Jim. Thank you so much for dropping in. Thank you for hanging out and chatting. We're at 2 hours, so I'm going to keep going for now, but this is going to be like my longest live stream ever, so I'm just going to hang on and hang out with you guys. It is 10 o'clock, though, and I have to work in the morning. Yeah, I I understand, Rich. Yeah, I really dig that movie, too. Sounds good. Have a good one, Uncle Lou. I appreciate you. I don't think so. I don't think there ever is a carnival in that movie, unless you count inside their spaceship, but I wouldn't count it. But it is great. Thank you so much. Okay, well, look at that. I just got to the end of the chat, so looks like it's about time to head out. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Oh, I just have 3 more pickups that I'm going to show you. So we're going to do that real quick. So I talk about vintage stock a lot. It's like a used and sometimes new movie store in my area. They sell a lot of nerdy stuff. I love it. They did a buy 2 get 1 free sale, and I think I got a pretty good haul. They were all used, and I got really good deals. So this is the most exciting thing to me. I got this Walmart exclusive steelbook for the Blair Witch Project and Blair Witch. Walmart released a lot of steelbooks in this kind of art style last October, and I really liked them. This is the main one I wanted. I just wasn't willing to pay $25, which I know is ridiculous to a lot of people because that's usually what steelbooks cost, but that's usually why I don't buy steelbooks. Is like I just didn't want to pay that much. But they had it for $20, and it was part of a buy two get one free sale. So I like holding out really paid off for me. So really happy to have this. The original Blair Witch Project, seen it once as an adult, knowing it was fake, and it didn't super hit me. I do want to rewatch the original Blair Witch, the remake Blair Witch though, because I saw it in theaters. I don't know how much I want to say. I saw it in theaters with my wife. It was one of our earliest dates. And we didn't pay a lot of attention to the movie. So I need to watch it and actually pay attention to it. And it's just such a cool looking steelbook. So I'm really, really happy to have this in the collection. And then I got the Paramount Presents Blu-ray for Trading Places, which I love this movie. It's one of my favorite 80s comedies. Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. I think it's just fantastic. It's a great Christmas movie. Really cool Paramount Presents release. This was also around like $15-20, and then once again buy two get one free sale. So really, really good deal on that. And then I got the Twilight Time Blu-ray of 10 to Midnight, which is one of my favorite canon movies, one of my favorite Charles Bronson movies. I'm going to be talking about this in a video soon. But yeah, this is on a Scream Factory release, but this was just a really, really good deal. So I thought, well, I'll get the Twilight Time. And I did a little Googling, and I found out the Scream Factory transfer is very minor upgrade. So I thought this will be fine. And I really do love that cover art. So that is the end of my pickups. Quite a bit of stuff, not cutting back on collecting very much. Let's see. Yeah, I really want to do a list on Bigfoot horror. That is on the back burner. I wish I could do just like shoot out tons of ranking lists, because there's so many I want to do, but they take time. Because I do, I watch movies I've never seen before leading up to my list. I will rewatch movies I don't remember very well to make sure I have something to say about them. I do a lot of editing for them, so they take time, which is why I can't do them too much. But lately I've been doing around one a week, which is pretty crazy. So we'll see how much longer I can keep that going. But yeah, I would love to do a Bigfoot list. Legend of Boggy Creek, not a movie I love, a movie that actually I had to pause in the middle of to take a nap, because that movie is just like a lullaby. Because I mean, kind of almost on purpose. But I would say from what I've seen so far, my favorite Bigfoot movie is probably Creature from Black Lake. What can I say? Oh, okay. Interesting. I love Halloween 6. I love it, especially the producer's cut in particular. That movie has just such a great Halloween autumnal feel. I think it's got some of the best atmosphere in the whole franchise. And the story of it is so insane. But like, I kind of like it. Like, I like it as this weirdo bonkers Halloween movie that like is just nonsense, but in a really fun way. And I really like the characters in it too. Not Paul Rudd so much, but the main girl I really like a lot. It's also the first time Michael Myers' mask looked good since Halloween 2. So that's nice. All that's going on is I'm just doing a live stream and just hanging out with people, talking and talked about a bunch of Blu-rays and 4Ks I picked up recently. But thank you so much for being new to the channel and hanging out. Yes, I sure do. That is the Haunted Mask. It's a replica. Absolutely love that thing, because the Haunted Mask meant so much to me as a kid. Goosebumps meant so much to me as a kid. Yeah, really love that movie. Oh, that's really cool. I got Night of the Demon from Severin, but I haven't watched it yet, but I really want to see it. Cool. Yeah, I need to do more. It's just, when I'm also trying to keep up with watching movies and making videos, it's kind of hard to find the time for them, but I do need to do more of them for sure, because they are lots of fun. And you guys, I always come in here thinking like, what am I going to talk about? I don't know, but you guys always come in clutch. You show up, you ask me questions, and it ends up being a really fun time. So I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love Goosebumps. They meant so much to me when I was a kid. That's interesting. It's just so hard to say, because it like depends on what kind of movies you like. But yeah, it could be an interesting video. I'm going to consider that. Oh, we talked about that before, man. Yeah, I still haven't seen Harry and the Hendersons. But before I do a Bigfoot list, I'll watch it. I will not do a Bigfoot video without seeing Harry and the Hendersons. I'll promise you that. The Hatchet movies. Okay, yeah, I've seen all the Hatchet movies. I really like the original. I don't love it. Sometimes it's a little goofy for me, but I really like it. It's really fun. And that's kind of it for me. Like 2 and 3, like none of the movies are bad, I don't think, but they're like really mediocre. 2, 3, and Victor Crowley. They all just kind of run together for me. I find them just kind of slight, not a lot of story. Just very mediocre. They're okay, but I do quite like the original one. But yeah, there is like a steelbook collection coming out of them. And I don't think I'm going to get it because I own the original Hatchet, and I think that's enough for me. Thank you, Gary. New to the channel, watching lots of recommends. Huge Hammer fan too. Do you like Hammer's House of Horror? Haven't seen it. Again, like it's hard for me to make time for TV shows, but one of these days, that's one I do need to make time for one day. We got Harry and the Hendersons support in the chat. Oh, okay, cool. That'll be great. I'm totally down. Totally down. Cemetery is unguarded. I've got a brand new shovel. Congrats again. All right, see you, Mark. Thank you so much for dropping in. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I love talking about those movies. Love it. And September and October, Hammer Dracula review series. Look out for it. I want to do it during the Halloween season because I want it to be a big deal. Because that franchise means a lot to me. Awesome. Thank you. Never seen either of them, so I need to check them out for sure. Yeah, that's a little subgenre that I haven't experimented with a lot, but I need to. Yeah, I need to check out more. That's a little project I would love to do. There's all these little horror projects where like I just want to watch a bunch of movies from different categories and just got to find the time. Me too. I don't get a lot of time to binge watch these days, but try to watch a movie every single day. That's what I try to do. Oh wow, there's a Turbine Media book of Harry and the Hendersons. That's wild. Yeah, I've heard that's good. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but yeah, I won't do a Bigfoot video without watching that. I'll tell you that. Evening. Here's how my days usually go. So I get up around 6. I work from 7:30 to 4, and then I come home and I, hang out with my wife and I play with my son and I make dinner, or my wife makes dinner and we eat dinner. I clean up the kitchen while she puts the baby to sleep. And then I have about 8 to 10 to do whatever I want. So from about 8 to 10, I will watch a movie, or I'll work on the channel, or I'll hang out with my wife and we'll do something. And sometimes I'll stay up a little bit late to make that time last a little bit longer. But yeah, like that's basically the free time that I've got. So it's not a ton, but I do what I can with that time. I try to be very intentional with my free time. So like, I'm not someone that I don't spend a lot of time like scrolling through social media or scrolling through streaming apps, just kind of looking for something to watch. Like I'm very intentional that like each day I know what movie I'm going to watch that night, so I can get right to it and I can make the best use of the time that I have. Or I know exactly what video I'm going to film or what video I need to edit. Like I really try to it sounds stressful, but it's really not. Like it helps me. Like I do structure out my free time. So, because wasting time makes me very uncomfortable. So I really try not to waste time. That was a really weirdly long-winded answer to your question, but the live stream's basically over now. It's like the after party. I'm just keeping going just for the heck of it. Thank you very much, Garrett. I really appreciate it. Never seen the 2004 one, but I'm interested. But I love the 79 one for sure. It's actually past 10. Yeah, I'll get up at 6 tomorrow. Yeah, I will. So that is a good reminder, though, that we got another chat in here. What's going on? Nightmare on Elm Street was shown on Tuesday at Classic Movies Harkins Theater. As I was walking out, a couple of teen girls said, "Can you imagine seeing this and thinking it was scary?" Oh, boo. I mean, I will say I watched Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time as an adult, and I wasn't scared by it, but I did love it. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So good for you. Growing up, my dad told me that Nightmare on Elm Street is the scariest movie he'd ever seen, and he did not show it to me. So I had to seek it out on my own later. And Loved it. Thought it was awesome. Okay, so I'm going to wrap that up. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you for getting me up to 21,000 subscribers. It's just crazy to me that so many people are watching my videos. So thank you. I'm going to keep making these videos. I love doing it. It's a hobby I enjoy so much. And yeah, go have some fun or go to bed or watch a movie. I'll see you later. Bye.